We need to sit up here, find out how to make the best surfing board on the planet, take our asses to every beach around the country and sell these white boys every surfboard, every little I don't know, whatever they into. Because since some black people walk through the suburbs to see what the white kids is into nowadays and whatever they into, figure out how to make the best thing of it. Don't sell. We ain't gotta sell to our kids. I don't want to brainwash them with all this crackadosis. But we definitely can make a whole lot of money off of them. That's what the Asians do. Asians send they go riding through our community, see what it is that we into. Next thing you know, they making calls to China, they bootlegging it, and then they shipping it out here and they selling it to us for half off, right? And we making a whole bag off of us, right? That's what all these communities do. They make bags off of us, right? That's how come the black dollar don't circulate, because everybody figured out how to make money off of us. We haven't figured out how to make money off of them, right? So I'm not opposed to making money off any Asians, making
What
money off
about
any
with Psycho?
I'm
I
cool
keep
with
hearing
all
you
that.
say off, but what about with?
What
You
happened?
keep saying off. What about with?
We mean?
You keep saying make money off of them. I'm saying, what about making money with them?
I support hiring black people myself. That's just me. But I mean, I'm not going to sit. I mean, you got to go within the rules, because you got discrimination laws and stuff like that. But let's put it this way. Let me ask you a question, Brad. If you got let's say you got a Nigerian applying for a job, right? You the boss, right? You got one job open there that you're trying to fill. You got a Nigerian applying for a job and a German applying for a job. They both got equal qualifications, right? Both graduate from the same school, same year, everything, right? So now they both applying for your job, equal qualifications, just like I said. Which one are you going to hire?
I'm gonna hire whoever's black, whoever's the closest to black. If all things being equal, if it's not a question of one is bad or one is whatever, I'm gonna hire somebody that's black, because in this particular system, that's what they do.
Yeah.
You know what, Brad? Congratulations. You're a Pan-African. I'll talk to y'all later. I got to get ready to go.
No question.
Hey, I consider myself. Hey, I consider us whatever I practice is pan not Chicagoism. You know what I'm saying?
That's fine.
If it was a Nigerian, if it was a Nigerian between, I'm gonna pick the Nigerian over the Ethiopian.
Right. No question. You crazy.
Yeah.
I was about to agree with that. I don't know about that one. But hold on. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm gonna try, just saying if the qualifications was equal, but I've always been a person that me hiring unqualified people just because even white people, I think C. Dot left, but that's that whole statement that Hope Bryant was talking about. They're killing themselves with this attack on diversity, because it ain't enough educated white people in finance to drive the gross domestic product. So unless they plan on just pumping out all of these white people that's going to be working on the GDP, they better get to some diversity and allow everybody that's qualified to help keep America where it's supposed to be. So, but that's neither here nor there. But Reggie, brother Reggie, just came in here.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
Can I make one last statement before I log off?
No, go ahead, bro. Yeah, I gotta get out of here too.
Okay. And I appreciate that piece that you said about the difficulty of, what Dr. Carr deposits for us, because it is. And I'm the first to tell you, like, as a person who subscribed to Pan-Africanism and practices in the work that I do, it's difficult. It's complicated. It's confusing. It requires a lot of understanding, compassion, research. It requires some investigation and sometimes reevaluation of my previous conceived thoughts about Pan-Africanism. And when I look at what Dr. Carr says, and I'll close with this, the way I manifest that and understand that is that I look at the dynamic, the demographics of the Twin Cities here. We got Somalis here. We got Liberians. I want to say we have the highest concentration of Liberians in the nation. We got Nigerians here, particularly Yorubas and Igbos. We have people from my brothers and sisters from Sierra Leone. We got a strong Ethiopian cadre, and I think we got a Professor Mbe. I think he got a good family of people from Tanzania too. A few brothers and sisters from Tanzania, and so one of the things that I made the assumption with is that, oh, they're here, they're all Pan-African, and this is like 20 years ago, and they all understand it. And I found out that none of them had any concept of what it means to be a Pan-Africanism. And that was my ignorance at that time. And so as I got a little better at understanding what this is and really started going to the source of how this thing was created, I realized that Somalis, Sierra Leone's, Nigerians, and a lot of them, they had to become Black. And the misnomer, and this is why I was saying Peas, we can have that conversation later, is because some of them come over here and think just based on them getting citizenship and the categorization that they have to check that they're Black. And one of the things that I had to introduce with some of my mentors and people who taught me is that no, the political framework that we're trying to orientate you to in Blackness helps you to understand what Pan-Africanism is. But that's a teaching process. But before I can get you there, I need to understand what happened to Somalia to where y'all start showing up in 1994 and 95. I need to know what happened in Liberia during that civil war to where we end up creating a whole city for a lot of the Liberian refugees. I needed to understand how are some of the middle class of Tanzanians coming in here out of my Nigerian brothers. What road are they? What red carpet has been rolled out? What's the dynamics of that's happening in Africa that's causing this transplant of continentals coming here? That's thinking globally, understanding the geopolitical reality of that, understanding what's happening economically. What is the relationship between the US and these continents? How are they been set up to be the new Black minorities here in Minnesota? And then from that position, I can act locally. Then we can make moves to understand how you understand my social historical reality and how I understand yours. How do we have some alignment politically and what we don't have alignment in politically? You know, what's our common bond in order to push against the whiteness of Minnesota? Minnesota is the Mississippi of the North. So it requires a deep congenial relationship between these Africans that a lot of them don't come here with. They have no idea with. A lot of Liberians would tell you to this day, before they got on the ship, they was told, don't get around those niggas when you get to Minneapolis. Stay away from the niggas.
I
And
knew
they
you. I knew
they
you
was
were
trans
Somalians,
right.
yo.
Yeah, yeah, Somalis was told the same thing. And so there's an educational piece that has to happen, that requires us to think globally. And then when we get to now start pushing up against the Board of Education so that our brothers and sisters, our Muslim brothers can have space to pray in the schools that the schools didn't want to allow them at first, that's a local action. To be able to get support that's happening on police chief for us for them to have some representation when their police are now beating on them, that's a local action. These are things that we start to organize locally where we start to see, oh, our Black objective is to push up against the white system. That's how they become politically Black. But for me personally, I don't give them Blackness just because on paper they have to check Black African American to get that loan, to get that award or get that application done. I don't give them the Blackness. No, no. Political Blackness is a training. That's a whole reorientation to the framework of how you see yourself in America. But you're not just Black. You're Somali. You're Nigerian. You're Tanzanian. You're this and that, but you're not Black. But when we start having more conversations about what this African conversation and networking looks like, then we're moving into more of a Pan-African conversation where we can act locally, not land there.
Boy, I knew you from Minnesota, boy. You said the Somalis out there wild, boy.
Yeah, they cool, man. They cool. They my peoples, but they struggle sometimes. They struggle.
That's Somali homeless, boy. They some street dudes, for real. They wild out there.
We actually got a little bit of both. Some of them, because of the situation they come from, they in the streets, and others are very corporate, very business oriented.
I'm just saying, you know how long people or immigrants been in the culture where they intertwined to where they, they be in the street history too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all got Somalian politicians.
We do. We do. One of them running for mayor in Minneapolis right now and catching a whole lot of white, like being exposed to white supremacy. Some of them ain't. They're not familiar with how white folks act. And so, like one of them run for office. We had a police officer, I want to say 8 years ago, 9 years ago, accidentally killed a white woman who was approaching the police car. It was a Somali brother who was a police officer. He killed
Yeah.
the white woman and he was persecuted.
I
And
heard
that
it
was
was
the first
incident.
time, yeah,
He
Somalis
got
got
15 years.
politicized.
He got 15 years.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
15 years ago. Yeah, I knew it was some time ago.
He
And
got
that's the
15
that
years.
I
He got
say
found guilty.
Yeah, he got 15 years. Exactly. That was the first time. This is me saying on record. Now, I could be wrong because I don't know every Somali in the Twin Cities, but I feel like on a global, a local level, and a mass level of understanding, I feel like that's the first time Somalis ran into a national incident where they realize how whiteness views them in a spectrum of race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think they've had the carpet rolled out for them for so long that when one of them get into an incident where there was just cause for what happened, they found out, oh, white people actually think of us not as
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I
There we
heard
go.
the incident where a Somalian, I don't know if he was a Somalian dude, he was like a gang member. He killed the African American police officer.
Here in Minnesota,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not familiar with that situation. It could have happened. I'm not familiar with it.
But that incident where he killed the white woman, the blonde hair, blue eye white woman, it was a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
national thing. It became
Yeah, it
national.
was.
And
Yep.
he didn't know. He thought that he would be protected by the police himself.
That's right. That's
And they
right.
moved so fast from him that the whole community got whiplash and put in place to realize that, dude, you do not control the narrative here.
Hmm.
And not because they put you in certain position mean anything. Like OJ. OJ was white for many years until he wasn't. People forget that OJ was white,
Mm-hmm.
Well, OJ was living the white lifestyle in Calabata. White people, white lawyers, white friends, white orgy parties until he wasn't.
Yo, so Mujahid, right? So how do you feel? I mean, I don't know if you had a whole bunch of time, but I'm not going to be on here too much longer myself. But like, how do you feel about this ultimate goal being basically to starve out Western influence, to be able to operate economically without it? How do you feel about that? Hello, did my shit go out?
No. Can I make a few comments?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Logic.
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, okay. I
I,
said,
I
yeah, I
really
don't.
want to hear from you, brother Reg. Now I want to stay. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead,
real
Mujahid.
quickly, brother Reggie. I don't know how much I subscribe to that. I don't know if I can't even imagine that. I don't know if I know I would never live to see that day to where
But
the
that wouldn't
collaborations.
be in the forefront of your mind as far as
No, not at all.
you,
Not at
you're
all.
you're not even strategizing in order to make that particular reality
Nope.
easier.
Nope. Nope.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so. I didn't think so. I think a lot of people in those meetings that you were talking to me about are. I believe so.
Mm,
And the funny thing is, it's happening right there, and you don't see that. I'm being a little like I'm overshooting. I don't know what's happening, but if I'm hearing it correctly, I think a lot of people have a lot of undertone in there. And then once you kind of get a little further, you got to start asking, okay, how are we going to do that? Now, this is just a fair question, but go ahead, brother Reg, unless you want to say something.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not
good.
going to be. I am not going to be long. So
No, floor yours, floor yours.
I appreciate the. I think that y'all gaining some great thinkers, or at least finding them, and we're hearing their voices, and so I appreciate the conversation. So as a student of Dr. Clark, um, and read his work and participated as a reader. Um, Dr. Clark in his last book, he was critical of Pan-Africanism, and a lot of people, what they do is they jump from fads, right? So and they miss things, and so um, Dr. Clark was also a part of the organization Afro American Unity, right? And so he was thinking, as my brother said, locally, right? Locally, statewide. We are letting our opponents frame the conversation about what we really think. We were uh, we moved from Negroes and we moved from black to a certain extent. Well, black was always a unity thing globally. When we were acting as black, it was in the 60s, in the 70s, right? That was a kind of a unity kind of designation. Um, and then there was the Black nationalist argument as well as the Pan African argument. There were all those arguments in. What we unfortunately do is let our opponents again frame the conversation because we were first on a track of trying to create organizations across America that was uh, that would organize themselves under a banner of uh, African unity, right? Meaning as another word for black. But now, as my brother said, think locally, right? But how can I say? Well, but act locally and think globally, right? So we have to be careful about allowing our opponents frame the conversation. So they are attacking Pan Africanism, which is just an idea, right? But really, our actions were around the United States, right? Strengthening the United States. Then we got into another mode, which I've talked about a lot, where we figured out we could take cities. And I don't want to continue that argument because I think we already talked about that. But be careful about letting our opponents attack Pan Africanism and label people like Umar Johnson, who has never written on Pan Africanism, never been in an organization that I know of Pan Africanism. He becomes the poster boy of Pan Africanism, and that's absolutely wrong. He took a trip with Professor Small, came back. Now he's Papa. When he was there, when Dr. Jeffries and them left their guard down and they were in a particular meeting, he was able to talk to some African leaders and without without permission, right? He got up and he said some things that Dr. Leonard Jeffries, who uh, participated in WADU, right? Which it was a kind of a Pan African, an active Pan African uh, kind of new new element, right? That they have formed to kind of like really centralize it, right, over particular regions. And I think so. So we're letting people attack us without understanding history, and that's just a strategy that they have been doing for a while. Unfortunately, we do have to organize ourselves in organizations in our cities, states, and counties, right? Um, um, and then with that, we can see the every city, state, county has different demographics and different issues. We need a strategy that is going to be kind of how can I say ubiquitous across all those places, um, but at the same time understand the diversity of different particular areas. um, we haven't, it's because we don't have a plan. Well, in these African populations that are here, right? What they do is, since there's no plan, but they're going to float around their best interest, right? They're going to float around their best interest for survival, for group survival. So we have to do
I'd like to be
understand,
able to.
huh?
Go ahead. I'd like to be able to, talk with you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
No, no. Every time there's a pause, then I'll let you. If it's acceptable.
No, I
Hey,
mean, you keep going. Like I'm just asking you to, like, so I could be able to summarize everything that you said. Instead of it making even more stuff that I now. I'm trying to be able to talk with you about what you're saying. Go ahead.
right. So that's why I stopped, because if there's a point where if there's
Okay.
somebody
Okay.
that has a particular point,
Right.
I'll
Right.
stop.
So right, you were saying that people are attacking y'all, Pan Africans, without knowing the history. And I don't think it's necessarily. I don't believe it's an attack, to be honest with you. And a lot of the other stuff that you said, um, I would have to see that more as Umar Johnson announced himself as the king of Pan Africanism, and no one from Pan Africanism denied it. Like that. That's what I see as how it happened. Like nobody came up and was like, "Nah, what he doing is wrong. He off the chain." Nobody did that, as far as I know, other than,
And,
like,
and I admit,
maybe people somewhat saying it around this neighborhood, but not like getting on the big horn, being like, "This is not Pan Africanism." I ain't seen that. But I
scholars, a
seen
lot
him
of
at the
scholars,
Breakfast Club, right? You know what I'm saying that. But
we don't
neither here
have
nor
the
there. This
power.
is so.
So here's the
This is what
problem.
I'd like for you. This is what I'd like for you to reply to, right? So
Okay,
because
so
I'm kind of. Go ahead. Go ahead.
here's the dynamics. Some people are pushed in front of the camera. They're pushed on these big shows like the Breakfast Club, because that talks to a majority of people who really don't study, or pushed on Vlad TV, right? Because a lot of people watch Vlad and they shouldn't, or be pushed on some of these uh, um, bigger black talk shows, and some people are not. I agree. Uh, I agree. As soon as Umar Johnson started talking about uh, Pan Africanism and he's Papa, I agree. But the scholars who know best, I have found out that they're resistant to get into public debates because it affects their livelihood. So these nasty public debates actually affect whether they become chairmen and their positions. And our black intelligentsia, for the most part, they fail, right? They actually fail. Then there's the people like myself who are students, who are independent and not academia. um, I don't get the support from my people when I make criticisms, but yet my criticisms or become uh, be, become the record that I do criticize. So I have said just now, you want to. Well, Umar Johnson is not a Pan Africanist. Umar Johnson went to a few countries in Africa for his.
Actually, I don't want to fight you on that. I agree. I don't think that he's certainly not the Pan African that you're familiar with. I'm not disagreeing with. Right. I'm that, like, to be honest, like whatever, however you separate what real Pan Africanism from him, I just agree. Right. So, like, here's a larger point, I guess. Maybe I wanted you to say more about the other stuff I was saying.
There is
So,
no
like,
Pan African.
let me give you a quick analogy. Say you have this is the best way I could think of to do it. Just follow me for a second. Say you have a guy who wants to approach this lady, right? And the guy thinks to himself, I need to lose weight before I approach this lady, right? So he goes, loses the weight, finally gets the courage to approach the lady. He approached the lady, and the lady says, I like fat guys. right? So he doesn't get what he wants. So he actually, this is why it fits, right? Because if it's not about starving out America, I know, follow me what I'm saying here, then this whole middle trip here just needs to be something completely different, right? Like you assume that this connection like possibly leads to starving out America, right? But you don't.
I'm not hearing you. You're talking. I'm not hearing you. Is everybody else hearing him? Because I'm not hearing him.
Can't hear him either.
Yeah, so he's underwater. So we can't hear you. Something's wrong with your mic. Okay. So while he gets his mic up, here, cut me off. What I tried to say is that Pan-Africanism is just an idea, right? And so it's not really a construct. It's a forewarned that we want. In the meantime, local areas, like for example, in America, when I mean America is a place of Black people. Africa, different regions in Africa, that's separate. That's their own local efforts. Our what we have allowed, unfortunately, is people to choose who are not part of these movements to choose these labels. And in Pan-Africanism itself is complicated because there is a socialist part of it, and there is a communist part of it, and that's not a fit for. And then it's regional. So a lot of people are confused, and so they pick up Pan-African and they attack Pan-Africanism because it's a want, but it's not structured. And I think that Dr. John Henry Clark talked about that. So again, what we're doing is allowing people to pick these terms and pick people who are leaders to attack our movements, and the people that should be projected, like my brother that was just talking, Mukasi, and other people, students, right? Well-read students, they're not projected, and that's purposeful. So hopefully we have channels like this as it grows to be able to project the thought.
Reggie, Stupi's here. Would you agree that charlatans oftentimes rise to the top of some organization?
All the time.
Well, what Dr. Umar did was he was a charlatan who pronounced himself leader. We have seen similar things in religious organization. Most serious Pan-Africanists, most serious people who holds to the idea, because there's no conceptualized Pan-African, it's an ideology, who hold to the idea of a Pan-African situation, would not classify him as the leader. He self-proclaimed. He used it. He used it as a tool to facilitate his grift.
Right.
And he was found out. No, right? Because there's been hundreds of people who have written paper on Pan-Africanism, who have had speeches, who somehow were lost to time. But he came along, and because he was boisterous and loud and flamboyant and articulate, yes? he was allowed to assume a position that nobody placed him in. Nobody placed him in that position.
Sometimes our enemies actually promote people, uh, and that's a problem with us. And actually, when you wind up on the Breakfast Club, and you wind up on Vlad, I don't know, I don't think he was on Vlad, but if you wind up on these
He was
programs,
on Vlad. He was on Vlad.
so then what's happening is that you're being promoted by people who don't have our interests. And then again, our academia, who is the best researched on this, they're reluctant to take these people on one by one because of they got to pay their bills. They don't want academia does not want them to engage. They're kind of in a kind of a prison cell. So then it's left to particular organizations, and many of our organizations are also docile and they're all weak, and that they don't come out against people like Umar Johnson. But luckily, charlatans like Umar Johnson, they ultimately
Expose
collapse.
themselves. They expose
Exactly.
themselves over time.
Exactly. So now it's up to this understanding social media and project people who can best articulate. Now I have a speech impediment that most people claim that I have. I write better than I talk. Okay. So the problem is that, and then I have to fluctuate between many ideas, right? And so sometimes I'm not booked up on one particular issue as it comes up, and I don't, and at the same time, I really don't want to be uh, looked at as a leader, but as who I am, a researcher, someone who can articulate these ideas. But we have lots of different types of movements in the United States. We do not have a plan for us in the United States. Without a plan, we will groups will uh, vying for survival will survive, right? Some black folks will become Republicans, not because Republicans or all Republicans are bad. It's just that they are surviving and they see success. Some people will become, most of our people have unfortunately become Democrats without any accountability, right? Um, and so on our elected officials, the game is really unfortunately rigged. So we need strong organizations, but with that comes internal problems of people misusing money, people pimping out women, right? People are doing all type of ego type of things, striking out on their enemies. And we've seen this from the time period of like big movements, Garvey movement, right? Where not it can't it doesn't have to be the leader himself, but it's the clique around the leader. Noble Drew Ali also. It's the cliques around the leader that act as if the leader condones it, and the leader may condone some of these type of things. We don't have what you call black accountability, right? And unfortunately, it becomes sometimes violent. It does become violent in the way that we operate in the United States. We will assassinate each other. And then there are other groups besides the European, right, who have an interest in what they're doing, and if they see success, they will themselves involve themselves in uh, dismantling of black leadership and black organization, right? And so it's complicated, but at central, where is a plan that speaks to our success that begins this conversation based on our best interest? We have a best interest.
Reggie, question to you. Because you should understand this. You're in New York. New York has always had a black elitist. And I'm not using elitist as a bad word this time. Has always have a significant black population that is highly educated, that is financially ready. But we have never gotten leadership from that group. We have never gotten political leadership or people promoting actually say, I need to enhance other black people, and I think I'm equipped enough, intelligently, and I have the money to do this to promote myself. Why is it that from that black class we have never gotten
Oh,
any
because
real?
then you have to read, you have to understand Sigma Pi Phi, and you have to, which they call the Boule, and they have a best interest. They're only interested, uh, uh, they're interested in capturing uh, any leader or any person that has influence over 10,000 people. And so their motto has always been to attract the elite, and then they have what you call subordinates. They have Jack and Jill, they have the fraternities, they have sometimes masonry, and what they've mastered is projecting the elite. So you have Jet Magazine, Ebony and Magazine. That was their purpose. You had Lerone Bennett's works, right, as a publisher.
Before I go any further, let me ask you this question because I need to understand what you're saying. Are you saying that it was never the interest of the black elite to act in the best interest of black people?
Correct. It was if you look at the structure of the Talented Ten that became Sigma Pi Phi, that it's their kind of people,
But
right?
brass will like brass as who is now considered in the black elite financially is a member of a Sigma, is a member of the whatever it is. Black
Yeah.
ticks, brass ticks couple of those boxes, and I know that brass would disagree with you on that.
Well, I don't think that brass. I don't think that brass could, because it comes from the top and it trickles down to the bottom. That's the process of the black elite to protect themselves. So they call themselves archons and arkusas. Uh, they and if you look at their publications, they honor those blacks that are in the Fortune. Used to be the Fortune 500, now the Fortune 100, right? And their whole thing, and you saw it in the civil rights movement, where in the civil rights movement, uh, they they pushed, even Dr. Martin Luther King was a part of that. He was getting his direction from Archon. Uh, what is his name? I went to his funeral. Um, I, uh, I think of it. I shouldn't have said Archon, but he was head of Proctor, Reverend Proctor. Reverend Proctor was the chief archon, and so during the civil rights movement, the push, of course, was against Malcolm X's model, right? It was
Oh,
more of a uh, making sure that Black America doesn't go up in flames. It's kind of like a
uh,
big.
okay, question. Adam Clayton Powell, because you're in New York, would he be classified? His father was a pastor. He was light skinned. He went to university. He was a part of the black elite.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that he also
Mm. Well,
didn't promote?
there's rules. See, the
Hmm?
problem is that yes, things come from the top, but I don't think Adam Clayton Powell was a member of the Sigma Pi Phi or the Boulets, right? What I think is that there are individuals that have individual policies, and he only really cared about black people nationally, but he really cared about black folks in Harlem. So he operated a little differently. Yes, he was uh, the black elite, but he would but the fact of the matter is he wasn't so connected to these other groups of people. He was connected, but he wasn't part of that process. So you got to look at individuals, and usually great individuals or these type of people, especially well educated, they are kind of how can I say tracked and offered to be part of these elite organizations, right?
Okay.
And
So
so
are you saying that?
Butts, Reverend Calvin O'Butts, he ultimately became Boule, right? Because in New York, see, I was at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, and so I had access to knowing uh, uh, who gave money, uh, what was the in-betweens between the Carnegies and the other groups of white elite, who was the go-betweens. And I don't want to mention the name, but I could mention the name, but I don't want to. But there was Sigma Pi Phi's was very active in the success of the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in the time period that I was. And so we went to the Congressional Black Caucus several times. I went there most of the early times. And so that's when we're meeting people like Andy Young and other people uh, that told us that we should be there uh, and positioned us to be there. So the question is, there are you can find even people like Dr. Asa Hilliard from ASCAC. He
But
was
but
in.
but but Reggie, before you go further, because this what you're implying is you're almost implying that black elites are the buffer class. Do you understand what I mean by a buffer class? They're the intermediary. They're the ones who
I'm not
protect.
implying it. I'm not implying it. It's in their writing. I actually see the difference is that when Coakley was talking about the Boule and stuff like that, I had access to a document on the Boulets, right? That wasn't so public, and I made sure that certain people had it. Reggie's not saying it. Reggie read the document. If I read you the document, then you would know. You wouldn't have to guess, right? You wouldn't have to guess how they were formed. You wouldn't have to. And I'm not saying that there are enemies to our people, but they're much more cautious in some of the groups that were separatist organizations, Marxist organizations, socialist organizations. They found that those groups of people were fragmented, and they was a threat to Black America. So they have a different position.
And you say, would you say that this goes back to the late 1800s, 1840, 1850, 1860? Would you go
No,
back that far?
no, I think that the Sigma Pi Phi
A
was
common error.
formed. They tell you when they was formed in the 1900s, and that was some elite dentists, Minton, and some other doctors, and they formed a way in which to attract uh, for their way of life. So that means ballroom dancing, all of that high society, and then they position themselves to talk to the elite European or elite European Americans to say, hey, listen, support us, and our strategy is what we're going to do is we're going to get tens of thousands of Black elites, and that the Black majority they're going to be on this tree, right? The Black majority, and so we can influence them. So what we're going to do is we're going to publish papers about Black success, Black positive lifestyle. You very rarely seen Jet Ebony Essence talk about anything radical or anything really poverty in the United States. They projected out people to think, and in return, they got advertisements for Cadillacs and the latest fashions. Those advertisers went to those publications, and that's how those publications used that money to build their continued influence over Black America. Right? So I can prove all of this because I'm of a different generation. I was able to be around members of the Black elite because of the institution that I was in, and I was in college. I was in my college relationships. Black Studies allowed me to be in touch with Dr. Clark and the Council of Black Studies and African Heritage Association and the larger Black Studies movement. And then with that, I also got relationships to the old Black Panthers, the BLA, members of the BLA, uh, and then the new groups of people like Dr. Khaled Muhammad, right? And so all of these people are the people that I met. Dr. Khaled Muhammad, I've been in the presence of Minister Louis Farrakhan. I've been in the presence of definitely Gil Noble. I've been to his house. Um, uh, uh, so many of the uh, 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 elites and so many of the common people. So I don't always take a position. And at one time I was really against the Sigma Pi Phi, but I had to kind of uh, understand some things about it. And even my Black so-called radical brothers or mentors, I can see how they operate with these groups and how these groups can make their lives better and have made their lives better, and they took the pill too, right? So the leader of this game is the Sigma Pi Phi, or none. And then there are subordinates, Jack and Jill, uh, and they touch everybody. If they don't want to deal with an issue, uh, they went as far as what is his name? He was in the White House. He was an attorney in the White House under Clinton's. He was Boulay. I'm gonna think of his name in a few minutes, right? They were able to touch people in government and in our local, as far down as our local churches. A lot of our Baptist preachers churches are Sigma Pi Phi, so they tell us.
Blasphemy.
I said, what?
Blasphemy, Reggie. Blasphemy. You're blaspheming.
No, I'm
I'm
just
just pulling
telling
your
you.
leg. No, I'm
I'm
just
just
pulling your
being
leg.
clear. If
I
the
know.
if the
I'm
Sigma
being
Pi
devil's
Phi
advocate.
if Sigma Pi Phi got an agenda, it's pushed down overnight into our local places. And so then you have Black churches operating sometimes, and you contrary to what you think they should be operating under, right? So you see something like Reverend Calvin Butts allowing access to Hillary Clinton to his church against Obama, but then later you find that they change and now they meet with Obama, and so Obama's their man, right? And so they're going for Obama, right? So I looked at it. If I, one day maybe it just depends, because you know what, I have to think about my own preservation and my own life, right? I do have to think about that, and that's why I don't throw, as they say sometimes, pearls to swine. Not that you are swine at all, but
No. I'm not. I'm understanding you're speaking generally. But
yeah,
then
but
let's look at it this way. Are you saying that it's just the operating under the same premise as W.E.D. Du Bois or the talented tent, where their interests don't line everybody, but only in self-preservation? Because that is what I'm getting from what you're saying, that these organizations believe in self-preservation first.
I have their
They don't believe
document.
in.
What you don't understand is that I have their document, right? Their document says it. Reggie's not saying it. Reggie read what they wrote, going not so public, right? Anybody from that organization knows this article that they wrote saying going going not so public, where they detail their station on the civil rights movement. That's some people could read it as blasphemy. I don't see it as blasphemy. I see it as look, when King got assassinated, American cities were burning, and specifically in our neighborhoods, right? Watch, and all of these things. But that's something that was that they foresaw, and that's not what they wanted, because they felt that that was an opportunity to bring us further down into chaos. So they were not wrong about that, right? The Boule was not wrong about that. The only reason why New York didn't burn is because Clarence 13X uh, 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 that him in a 5% nation was made not a deal, but had communications with the mayor, and they stood as a shield against burning down New York City, which was a target. So New York City did not burn down, but a lot of other cities burnt down, right? So and I argued that to the community board when they was putting up his sign, when we were doing a sign, creating a street sign for Father Allah and justice, right? And so that was, and then many of the people on the community board, one of them being an old professor of mine, in a law professor, uh, he spoke, and then who else was there? Um, not Perkins passed by, and Keith Wright was there. So Keith Wright, Perkins, and uh, Councilman Perkins, and a professor of mine that I am not going to talk about, that was on the community board, but I think everybody knows on the community board who he is. And so the four of us, I was in at that meeting. Um, yeah. So there you go. So what I'm saying is not blasphemy. It's just that when you don't have a plan, one thing is Sigma Pi Phi had a plan, and you got to give them credit for other people who did not have a plan they had a more competitive plan. Like it or not, it's not for it's not, how can I say, it will trickle down. They were the first, they was a trickle down for black people, right? But they was against drugs in our community when a lot of people were not. They was how can I say, they were taking the drug money. They was connected to the drug dealers and the drug kingpins. Sigma Pi Phi and those groups of people, they had nothing to do with those people, but they couldn't stop the money flow of the bad actors in invading our community, because a lot of people want to take police officers, elected officials, etc. The Boulet's position was that's a phase. Let's continue to do what we do, stay to our plan, and then we'll pick up the pieces, right? The Boule, Sigma Pi Phi, when Malcolm X got assassinated, right? What they did is they went to help Betty Shabazz. They got her into academia. They got her into a teaching position. They didn't like Malcolm X's policy, but they damn sure saved Malcolm's family.
Yeah, because Malcolm daughters were part of the Jack and Jill.
Aha! There you go.
Yeah, Malcolm daughters were part of the Jack and Jill.
There you go. They went to college. They went to good colleges, right? Uh, Listen, they were supposed to be white supremacy destroyed. But the Sigma Pi Phi, I don't know, the big three or so like that, David Dinkins and a couple of what's his other name, Dickens, and Adam, even though Adam wasn't directly affiliated with all of them, they went and they saw what was happening. You could and what they did is they saved that family. So I don't attack Sigma Pi Phi, but I do say that some of our organizations we suffer from charismatic people, charlatans, uh, ego people that don't want to pass on, right? Um, we suffer from that because they're not as much as listen, we just conditions of people. I don't want my professor, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, he gave me a choice to lead the streets and to do something better with my life. And I was in the streets when I was in his class, right? Sometimes people do things individually. Sometimes people do things for group, but they're human beings. They do the best that they can do, right? But sometimes they don't have a leadership succession. They don't have a leadership succession plan, right? So in that space, you got to understand. I met Umar Johnson before he became before he was projected. I met him when a sister in the organization that I was in, Latrella, invited him to speak for ASCAC. Came, clean cut, tie, right? Well, I think he was more casual, but very clean cut, nice guy, humble guy, real humble. And I was presenting on my laptop. Uh, he had a PowerPoint presentation. I let him present on my laptop. That's the first time I met Umar. Then I met Umar when he had a little bit more status, and so on and so forth. But I met these people. The difference is that Brother Reggie has met all of these people. So
Oh,
I have
brother Richard, me you might not get along with a lot of things, but certain things I have to give you props for because you were the first person to call out Jabari on the religious to turn it Kemet into a religious organization. You called him out before anybody, and you weren't in agreement with him. When did you
Man,
first realize
yeah.
that Umar was a grifter?
I don't call him a grifter, but see the difference is I knew his chief priest, brother Baba Samaj.
No, no, I'm
Uh,
talking about Umar. Just talk about Umar first. Okay. When did you realize? Because you identify people who
uh,
using this knowledge for something else. When did you realize? And I would have cited Jabari as an example, but I'm going back to Umar now. Seeing that you met him early before he was Afutunde or whatever. When did you first recognize him as not being kosher?
uh, wow. So whatever I say leads to the black streets, right? Because I'm on record. So I'm gonna call him, and he condemned by his own actions.
Right.
Uh, I saw his rise to power, and I saw people who promoted him. And what happened was, when he became a good speaker, people in the so-called, I'm not gonna say conscious community, because the conscious community is to a I would say that what happened was, here's how the grift started. You want to hear the grift?
Go ahead.
Grift started when he became a good speaker and he was on a lecture series. And so on the lecture series, you have bookstores and sometimes organizations who want a cut of the money. So what they would do is they would get the speakers, right? And what they would do is they would promote him, right? They would promote him because they want a successful event, right? And so they found out that he was this is before his big plans, but they found that he was a great speaker and they put him on a lecture series. Who else has been on a lecture series? A lot of people, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, a lot of these people were on the lecture series because they were good earners or like businesses. That means vendors can come. You can have a damn bazaar. And so in some of these events would bring in uh uh tens to $20,000 per event. So everybody gets fat. And so Umar was such a good earner from state to state, we participated in promoting him. And so it becomes unstoppable. And that's unfortunately the truth.
What year would you say that was?
Uh
Hello?
90, let me see, Dr. Clark, and then there's Dr. Ben. He wasn't around Dr. Clark the 96. He wasn't there. So I'll say somewhere around the uh, uh 2010, 20, let me see, 2005, 2005. I would say around 2005. You would see, all you have to do is go to Facebook and then see the lecture, the lectures. In our community, there are other people that was promoted for different things. I mean, Sarsoon Seti, great charismatic speaker, right? He was booked, right? He was booked organization to organization, a good earner, right? And now you have brother Booker T. Coleman, brother Kaba. Uh, uh, he's a good earner, right? You can expect if he speaks, people's gonna make $8,000 to $10,000, right?
That
When he,
nigga still as fuck.
huh?
I'm just saying already, bro. He's a little wild.
I'm listening.
No, that's all I had to say is brother Hiawatha Kaba, whatever. He's a little wild, bro. He's actually he's not even a little wild. That
Well,
brother.
he's booked. So
I
so
I, I get that. Hmm.
he's booked, and no matter what he says,
Hmm.
no matter what he says, and I see him. He lives in my neighborhood. I mean, I see him often. Um, I'm not going to say anything bad. I knew him for many years, but I'm saying these organizations, uh, the way the way they do it is that they will book him, and he speaks his newest book, and it's popping, right? It's popping. So we did it to ourselves, all because of our survival and our need, right? We create these events.
Okay. My bad. I didn't know that's what you were saying. My bad.
We create these events, and everybody gets a piece because they know that people want to go and hear of the speaker, and so we're not going to disrupt his speech and their speeches or anything like that. And then this person gets promoted nationally. They're on the
You
list
think?
of schools. They're listed on the organizations, the black the historical black colleges. They book them, and they have a lot of money. They book them. Churches book them. Everybody wants a cut.
Do you think that's a good
Reggie.
thing though? Do you think that's a good thing? A good thing that someone like that,
Well,
someone.
well,
Yeah, go
beyond
ahead.
that, I mean, beyond that, if you start doing it for money, right? You definitely ain't doing it for accuracy and scholarship, right? Because that might not be what's bringing you the money. So like man, at certain so like I guess at some point in time you do get to the point where like how can you be mad at us when we be like, man, you can't take it serious because he wasn't serious. He was about the money. Like if he was about the academia, he would have went to school. He would have did all that stuff that we see people doing now, right? Am I completely wrong with that?
No, they go to school. Here's the problem: a lot of the speakers actually have some university or college, right? What I'm just trying to
they
say,
got went to school.
who?
The I always mess his name up. I don't want to disrespect his
Booker T.
name. Booker T. Let's leave it at that.
Brother
He
Kaba,
went to
yes.
school.
Not only that, he's a professor.
Oh, okay. No,
Brother
that's
Kaba, Brother Kaba
oh.
he worked in,
What
he
did he
retired from the
teach?
public school system. He's well
Wait,
educated.
I don't know. You
wait.
said Dr.
Well,
Ben did field work the other day, Reggie. I
what
don't know.
does he teach? Wait, what does he teach?
Uh, I mean, let me see. Did he teach? I think he taught science.
Oh,
He retired from
ooh.
the board of the Department of Education, and then he was a professor at a professor at some of
Mm,
the SUNY schools, and
mhm.
he may still teach there. So he's his credentials are respectable. He's not, and
Well,
most of the influence. I mean, of course, I'm talking about on the lecture series. Most of the people on the lecture series, very well articulated, uh, black folks who went to college, and then there are some who are just charismatic. You know.
right.
So, for
Okay.
example, how you think polite's rise to
Perfect example.
is not Sonetta. I mean, well, sorry, I don't even talk about that. But that was polite was already moving around in getting promoted. Right? Everybody wants a bite of a person who is charismatic. I mean, polite, brother, polite. Um, he was a well sought after speaker. Look at his Facebook, his Twitter. Like look, he can. I mean, you got tens of thousands of people that was interested in what he had to say, right? So, so
Um, Reggie, I'm gonna be honest with you. My only thing, and sorry, my tongue is a little swollen. I'm just had a
it's okay. I
fever
can hear you.
3 days. Yeah, medical problems. Anyway, um, I would, and don't take offense to this. I want to say this politely. I would have a problem with my child learning science from Booker T. Coleman. Um,
Well, he didn't teach that stuff necessarily in classroom.
well,
Taught photo
that's what I would be afraid
like
of,
that,
though, Reggie. I would
huh?
be afraid that he would, though. I would be afraid that he would.
But he
Like what?
didn't. I mean, he might have taught melanin scientifically. He didn't. He was.
Yeah. Okay.
But when you're on a lecture series, now you could teach. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. And listen.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. A lecture is different. A lecture is different. I'm talking about
he
like curriculum.
he
Curriculum, like,
wrote curriculum. He's an
huh?
expert in curriculum writing in science.
Oh
I mean,
man.
I think he was in the superintendent's office. He was
What,
for.
what? You know what? Let me put some respect on his name. Then I'm not gonna.
Oh, you
Ah,
almost have to. But now here's the thing. The thing about it is, uh, is that he's just somebody that we actually talk about.
mhm.
And what's this? And he's a good. I mean, I'm not gonna say a good friend of mine, but because we're not personal like that, but we have strong relationships, right? So I'm not gonna talk. I might
Well,
ask
well, well,
brother
oh, I'm
some.
sorry. I did not mean to interrupt you, Reggie. I
You
would say
did
this.
interrupt me.
I did. I and I apologize, but I think I'm disrespecting. the brother, or you might feel I'm disrespecting him a little bit too much. I would never say that Booker T. Coleman is unintelligent. I just want to put that out there. And
Oh,
go ahead.
some of his master's thesis or his doctoral work. He actually was one of the last persons to study Dr. Leo Hansberry, right? Dr. Clark connected him up to Dr. Leo Hansberry. So, but sometimes on the lecture series on a particular book, he may not say what you want him to say, and I'm not agreeing with all the things that he says. I won't. But I met him in 1985. That's when 1985. That's when I met him in ASCAC, and he was the curriculum writer for the Institute of Youth in ASCAC, and he was ordinary in the sense of he was just one of those real smart people that was contributing with his skills to ASCAP. And then over the years, uh, people found that what he had to say is interesting, and and he's written several books. He's a incredible writer, right? And so I watched him.
Right.
I have nothing, but I'm only using him as a case because uh, on this lecture series, right? We participate. That's how black people are promoted. You wouldn't know about Dr. Frances Cress Wilson if she wasn't promoted in these events, on these speaking engagements. You wouldn't know about her,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir. And this, that's why I had to back off of my previous statement, and I'll actually apologize for it. I just
Sure.
yeah. I don't want to ever paint him as an unintelligent brother.
Sure.
Ever do that? Ever
All right.
do that? It's
Let me
just
ask you a
some of
question.
the yeah. Go ahead, Stupid. I just wanted to
Let me ask
apologize
you.
for that.
This, Mama shut my phone. All right, Reggie, this is a question. Do you think that the people that we refer to today as pseudo played an important role in the development of African American and Black people? When I say African American, because I believe that the Harlem Renaissance highly influenced the Caribbean. A lot of Caribbean writers came here, and a lot of them went back home and they influenced literature in the Caribbean. Do you think that they had a role to play? Those people that were called Suda, the Francis Cress Wilson, in the
That's a
development
different
of black
generation.
intel,
That's an entire Zora Neale Hurston and the rest
yeah,
from that period. So
mhm,
total different Langston Hughes,
yeah.
total different uh, dynamics. What I'm just trying to say
Mhm.
in the 80s, our bookstores, independent schools, organizations, they found a way to increase their economics by running events. And events are what they are. They would bring in one or they bring in several speakers, and it was a way in which to increase their revenues, right? And so the problem is that some people being called mislabeled as charlatans and they're not. Some people and remember there was no cash app there. It was a community giving you a stipend, an award, a donation, right? In
Mhm.
the 2000s, now it becomes a little wilder, right? Now it's really just about the money. So then you have people popping up who are just great community organizers who are getting the bag alongside people who are legitimate people that love black people, who's trying to build their organization coffers up. So so now you in the 2000s now, really in the late 2000s, now you have the you have much more of the uh and this is just beginning with YouTube, right? YouTube is just being thought about. Netflix is just being thought about, right? Uh, and so it was just a way in which organizations get capital. But then it became just really about the money, and there was very few questions and answers. And if you said something about the speaker, then you'd be booed off because you're messing up the game. We want that person back. We want them back as quick as possible in the next 6 months so that we can get another 10, 15, $20,000. So Omar is one of the last of that group. One of the last. And then
Oh, when you say one of the last, sorry to cut you off, Reggie. When you say one of the last, what do you mean? Because I think I know what you're
oh, it's
saying.
simple. Now people don't go into in-person things that much. They want to see it on live stream.
Right.
So those type of events where it's kind of meet and greet and eat food and after COVID, that all of that went away. It's all digital. It's all digital now. So so now it's the great content creators that are the new group of content creators that are surviving. In-person stuff is gone. So then you have so remember it went from VHS tapes to
DVD.
hmm hmm
right, and then it started going on. So the big in-person stuff is really gone because you can do now. All you got to do is do an event on Eventbrite, charge people $25 and and do it that way and get money. The new strategy, right? Less overhead, more money. Now you don't even have to pay for a space that can have 500 to 1,000 people. You don't have to pay for that. It's all revenue in your pocket. So that's when it went really, really wild. So now these people, some of these people are smart enough to say, I don't need nobody to promote me. I'll promote myself. So they have huge followings, right? They have huge
Okay.
followings, right? And so that's where we are now. And so because of that, now it's no accountability because even the organizations who would pick and choose and say what the topic is, now individual can come up there and get, do an event and get 10,000 and charge $25, right? And really, really eat, right? Luckily, there's a lot more competition now, and people are not paying what they paid, right? So only some groups can do $25. Most people are doing now $10, right? So they can't get the
Yeah.
$25, right? So because there's much more competition in this space, and oh, that hurt the bag, right?
Well, I was gonna ask, hurt the bag. That's a good
Oh,
point that you make,
I'm
brother
not a
Reggie. Well,
scammer.
two
Wait,
piece,
well,
two
first
piece,
of all,
two
I got to
piece.
make a
Oh,
commercial
oh,
because I
oh,
don't.
God
I'm
damn.
wait. No, I got no. I'm not a
Oh,
scammer.
that's you, Reggie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, brother Reggie's
Well,
not a
I'm gonna
scammer. Well, brother
interrupt you.
Reggie on the average, gets anywhere between for my talks $10 for 3 hours to $25, right? So my cash app is dollar Reginald Mabry, right? And I'm not a scammer. And my cash app is zero. I'm looking at it right now. Zero.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, who would accuse you of that? That'd be crazy.
Oh,
But
they do.
Why do you
Brother
think
but
Reggie.
you
but
supposed to get? Why do you think you supposed to get paid though?
cause he
Because I'm doing a service and because I'm smarter than the most, and you could cite my sources and my work. And so I should
Nah, bro, nah, bro, nah. We ain't rocking with that.
You ain't rocking
Ain't
with. Hey,
rocking
yo,
with.
Sheffrin.
Hey, Shefford,
I don't
Shefford,
need. I don't need
brother,
nothing
brother Reggie,
to let you
Shefford,
say that.
brother Reggie,
Right?
can I stand up for
No,
You're
no,
a
doing
no,
second?
no.
Can
You're
I
not
stand
gonna
up?
berate. You're not gonna berate our chat for money because you feel as though you smarter than us. That's crazy.
No,
No, I said
he's
because I
not.
need
But
information. You
That's
just
can
crazy.
I
responded.
do it? No,
You
no, no.
didn't
Let,
hear
let,
I'm
me-
just
none
let,
of
saying.
me
what
let
I
me
had
do
to
it
I'm
for
speaking
you.
for
say.
the people. Hold on. Stop, small. Stop. Listen, Reggie. I'm
Okay,
speaking for
okay.
the people. This is
You
not
are.
Sheffrin
Who
talking.
gave you that right? Who gave you the right to speak for the people? Yo, who knighted you?
Don't
I,
bite, Reggie,
I'm the
don't bite.
people's champ.
Don't
I'm the
bite.
people's champ. I'm the
Don't
people's
bite.
champ.
You're not the people's champ. You're not the people's champ. Now you being a hater, right? Look,
I'm not being a
Well,
hater, but I cannot let this keep happening. Like this, you gotta stop. You gotta stop somewhere.
why does it have to stop? Who are you? Who are you? Right? Because I don't even ask for much, right? So if I spend my time and I've been on here for 2 or 3 hours, and for the last minute people want to hear me talk, who are you to come in and say that the people shouldn't give it to me?
You're
Anything?
right. You're right, Reggie. My bad. Continue.
Look, I'm more than
oh
right.
no, it ain't your bad, chef. Because I was trying to speak up and say how Reggie was a value to the community, and you told me to shut the fuck up. You the
Oh,
second
okay.
person.
All right. I forgot. I forgot. My bad. Hey, Reggie.
you
I
you
apologize. I forgot. I
you
forgot.
you the same.
At the same time, all of the people that I named and I've been in contact with, Sheffrin, you've not been in contact with none of those people. What's your life experience with these people?
I
So if I'm
said
going to
I
tell you my
apologize.
truth,
Listen, I
right,
said
you
I
say work ethic?
apologize. Hold on. So you're not going to accept my apology?
No.
No, you gotta take some of this goddamn scolding because you interrupted me and said, "Hold on, small, you the second person today. I
Hold
ain't
on.
even talking, and you told me to shut the fuck up." I wanted to say how much I appreciated Reggie and his contribution to the community, and you told me to shut the fuck up.
I apologize. Reggie, you accept my apology, Reggie. Calm
I
down.
ain't accepting your apology because you know what? I don't need what do I get out of your apology? You already messed up the whole show. You my dude though, but I'm just trying to tell you is you saying this gotta stop. But you pick and choose on who it should stop. You
I
are
was
trying to
mistaken.
wait. You
I
are
was
trying. You have a
mistaken.
business. You have a business. This is a business right here. So by blocking me, you're actually blocking your business.
Who blocking Reggie?
I said, I take it back. Go get your money. Hey, y'all, cash at Reggie, $ Reggie Mabley. You know what I mean? Y'all already know what it is. Go ahead. Hook my
That
man
ain't
up.
even that, that ain't even his last name, but I get what you was trying to say.
It's Reggie Mabry.
You said
Cash app,
Mabley, but that's
Reggie
okay.
Mabry. Hit him off, y'all. Show the brother some love.
Yeah, the first time they would have thought there was an L in that, but that's okay. Um, but I'm just saying. No,
The thing
I kind
is,
of get, but go ahead.
Hey Reggie,
How many people even
I
How many
do
people
got
are
some
even listening to this show right now?
I
What
do
is it
got
like?
a paid gig for you though. If you take a debate, we're willing to compensate you. So just
Yeah,
let me know.
I think
I debate on one. I debate on one.
My man Westside had something to say. And I was talking at the same time. Go ahead, Westside.
Nah, man, I've been listening for hours, man. But I wasn't able to really come up. I was just wondering how many people are listening to this show right now, even?
200.
Well, that's not bad. Now I was just wondering how much money is it really available, in a sense. But okay, 200, that's pretty good.
This nigga.
Kick him off. Kick off that. That is so.
Nah,
Jeffrey, Jeffrey, that is you. That's on you. You know, that's all.
Is
That's on you.
is
That's
30
on you.
people watching? Is 30 people watching, but they all millionaires. So
No, I'm
there's
just
plenty
saying.
money
I'm
available.
not.
There's
I'm not
plenty
hating on
money
nothing. I'm just
available,
saying
brother.
a lot of things is a numbers game, right? You know what I mean?
Listen,
Hey, can I say something? Westside, you just joined a few days ago, but I fuck with your points, bro. You be coming in, you putting things into perspective. I really appreciate that shit.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm trying to put it in perspective, man. You know,
so
Yeah.
as
so
best I
second,
can. You
Nothing
know,
wrong
and
with that.
learn from other people
second
too. You know.
provide the bulldozer and you driving it over Reggie. Jesus.
Nah, man. Nah.
I ain't nobody trying to stop Reggie from getting his paper.
I
I'm just
respect
saying.
Reggie. Reggie has provided a lot of good. Because I wanted to ask him, like Kaba, for instance, right? I gotta find a source on if he's a science, what he taught and all that. But I'm wondering, like, because plenty of people go on a lecture circuit. There are all kinds of lecture circuits. Neil deGrasse Tyson's on a lecture circuit. You name him, man. Sean Carroll's on a lecture circuit. I bet that brother is on a lecture circuit. What's his name? The historian from Harvard, man. Henry Louis Gates.
I had a question about the lecture circuits too. Yeah, go ahead.
All those
Westside.
guys
Yeah.
are on lecture circuits, right? But their information, generally speaking, would be considered solid, right? So you don't have to necessarily be pushing, you know, questionable information to make it. But at the same time, too, there's some things that Reggie was saying that I really don't agree with fully, in the sense of the boule and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, these people are educated people in the community, right? Now, if they're educated and they try to separate themselves or think they're better than other people, I wouldn't rock with that. But if you're educated and you're trying to push yourself into a different direction and even trying to help people come up, it's all good to me, you know, because we gotta, nobody's perfect, you know what I mean? So we gotta decide what we
Wait.
want. Right? You can't be.
Say that again. Say that last part again. So
No, I'm
I
saying,
think Reggie. Yeah, go ahead.
if you're educated and you're trying to separate yourself from people that are less fortunate, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I wouldn't rock with. But if you're educated and you are trying to put yourself, your group or whatever, your community or people that are in your movement in a better position,
Better
and
position.
hopefully trying to
Okay.
bring other people along, I'm with it, you know?
Okay.
But we got to make a decision what we want. Like, because sometimes I hear people talk and I'm like, what do people really want? Because we talk about like crime in the neighborhood, right? For instance, right?
No.
Now, not to say.
You're going too far off now because you're talking about the
Go ahead.
bully. In your belief, do you believe that the black bully is promoting black people to rise? Do you believe that they're contributing, the black bully, do you believe that they're contributing to the benefits of the ordinary black person?
If you ask me to give you a yes or no, I would say yes. Right? Now, I have not studied the black bully, right? To understand fully what they're doing, but just on the mere fact that if they represent themselves in a way in the community, in life, how they present. Because, for instance, Roland Martin's a part of Alpha Phi or whatever, right? Right? He's a business owner, right? His information, for the most part, from what I can tell, is pretty solid in the political arena and things like this, right? And so, even because a lot of times is the image. Sometimes it's not what you do, and if you actually go, and they might be doing all that too, but sometimes just the image alone can be an influence on a younger generation, right? Because Roland Martin, if you listen to his story, the dude was in his teenage years, really young. He was going up to Chicago looking at the guy that ran the Chicago Defender and mimicking that guy. So just the image of that guy was beneficial to his life.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Reggie, let me ask Reggie.
What?
Reggie still on? Reggie, do you agree with that statement?
I'm still on. I'm just I'm
Do
upset
you
about
agree with that statement?
that those
No, but don't let them upset you. Batter them with
right?
knowledge, no.
Come
So you get
on
the
in.
opportunity to knock him out. I give you an opportunity to knock him out, Reggie. Right? I give you an opportunity.
Reggie,
Rampaging,
why you
Reggie.
upset, Reggie? Why you upset, Reggie?
Rampaging, Reggie.
You know why I'm saying you got sometimes what you say goes against people who actually do good work, right? But the people who don't do good work, you may talk about them, but you really don't have any interaction with them, right? So now I'm trying to tell the people how these people are made, and I think that most people understand. And you come out of West Bubblefuck and you say,
West Baltimore, West
and you
Baltimore.
self-denight yourself, but you're no better than anybody else, right? Because you got a little power on this board, and then you want to pick and choose and stop the people who have questions about what I have to say, right? And not what you have to say. You're
Who are
not
you
even,
referring to, Reggie?
huh? I'm talking to
What are you
Shepherd.
referring to?
I'm talking
Okay,
to Shepherd.
what? Okay, what
About what? What are
specifically?
you talking? Like, what did I do though?
Yeah,
What, talk to
yeah.
me.
What did he do?
Oh,
Reggie feel
Shepherd
like you
came
have
on and
minimized
said,
his efforts to educate people. Not because he has a cash up that mean anything. He's seen that people who is
Oh,
less
the cash that was
research
still
than
on
him.
that. Okay.
Yes. So Reggie feel that
okay.
you're
So now
minimizing his
I'm a,
effort to educate the population.
so now I'm gonna show you. So I'm gonna share my screen.
Go ahead, Reggie.
Share my screen. Okay. So I'm gonna show you what they said. So it's not agreeing or disagreeing with Reggie, it's simply knowing what they said,
Let's
right?
go, Reggie.
No, I was disagreeing with you
I'm
feeling
not
No,
like you
talking to
Reggie
you
needed
just
right now.
address the
a
bullying now.
cash app.
I'm not
No.
talking about you
Go
right now.
past that. Go
That's
past
what
that.
I was. I wasn't disagreeing
All right.
with your information. I was making an
But
objection
my
about
information
the.
is worth zero.
Reggie, show them what the information is worth, Reggie.
I
Rampage
know
will
I
tell
done
you.
I know I done sent Reggie a cash app. How many of y'all niggas done sent them one?
All right,
Let's
no,
go
we're
there,
not talking
man.
about that now. Reggie's going to rampage somebody now. Reggie, the
As he
floor is
should.
yours.
Okay, so
As he
I'm
should.
sharing my screen. How do I how do you see my screen?
Yeah, we can
I can
see.
see it.
We see it.
Okay, so this comes from a document within the Boule archives, Sigma Pi Phi. They start off because they have a dilemma. Should they be secret about themselves and what they've been doing, or should they take a greater stance on what they have been doing? So they start off by saying the old order changes, yielding place to the new, and God fulfills himself in many ways. At least one good custom should corrupt the world. Then they go on, and they start talking about their period. Archon Charles H. Wesley, distinguished author of history of the Sigma Pi Phi, first of the Negro American Greek letter
I
fraternity,
don't know
and
what he talking about.
No, no,
Hold
he's
on.
talking
I
about
was just about to say, in the
no,
words of the great chef F.
no, but you have to give him a time to finish. You can't interrupt him. He's
Okay,
talking about
okay,
the
okay.
bullies' impact on Black
I'm
America,
lost.
whether or not they're beneficial. That's what he's talking about. You have
Okay,
to give him
okay,
an
okay.
opportunity to
Let's
lay
let's
the
let's let him,
foundation. Go ahead, Reggie.
let's let him keep going.
Keep going, Reggie. I'm following you. Don't let Chef get you off point, man. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Unprofessional. I said, no, she paid it to me. She paid homage to me. Very open. I said, I
God
appreciate
damn,
it open to me.
Chef, you ain't nothing but
And she so bad.
you ain't nothing but the devil. You possessed me to say that.
No, because what Reggie was saying earlier is that these bullies are not beneficial to the Black community. These elite
no, I
educated
did not
people.
say that. I did not say that. I said they have a particular plan, and their particular plan, unless there's another plan, their plan is still alive, right?
What's
And
that
it's
plan?
still successful, huh?
What is that plan?
But before people said that they didn't, I prefaced what I was going to show. I did preface what I was going to show. I was going to say, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let the document that they wrote say it, right? But I'll probably do it on another show because this is
No,
not.
go ahead.
No. Because the only way that I will do it is if you say the dudes that interrupted me, right? They're childish, right? They were messing up the show. That's the
No,
You
but
know
only
we
way.
what,
agree
Reggie?
with that.
Oh,
We agree with
wait.
that.
Two piece.
Yeah, they childish
Reggie,
and they
I
was
think
messing the show up, Reggie. I'm gonna say it.
I would say
I
they were.
think I think I interrupted. So just to be safe, can I just apologize for everybody else? And let's just move
No,
forward.
you can't apologize. You Jesus Christ, you can take the sins of the world on yourself. No.
but
Yeah,
but
just
all right.
went back from sleep first.
I mean,
Go ahead, Reggie.
So,
I think I might have
so you
interrupted
don't
you, so
think
I
the
was just gonna
boule?
apologize.
You don't
No,
think
I'm
the
not gonna walk with
boule
it.
has its place in
Yes,
black society, Reggie?
absolutely they do.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely, because
What would that role be?
their plan has been around since the 1900s, and look, their whole plan is we can't save everybody from themselves. We're going to give you an opportunity, right? We're going to give you an opportunity, but we can't. They're not going to tolerate the drug dealer. They're not going to tolerate the charlatans. They're not going to promote them. All the things that we have done wrong, they say, you know what? We're not going to participate in that. But we're going to make sure. Well, we're going to watch the sun come up, right? So they have been more successful in a lot of, and they outlive a lot of our organizations.
The thing is,
Now what does that say though, Reggie? Then that the boule is the organization, or they're outliving, some of the other organizations. I would think like it's because of some of the things that you mentioned, the intolerance of the charlatans and the snake oil salesmen, right?
And the bullshit.
Right. Maybe other movements ought to adopt some of the intolerance that the boule has, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because they don't see the boule, they only recruit people who have actually second outside the bachelors. They would recruit people with masters and PhDs, or business professionals, right? Or people in the music industry, right? But
Now,
high
the
level
masters
people.
and PhDs don't shield you, don't give you no golden dome or anything from the charlatans and the snake oil salesmen.
But
I
once you
that
join the boule, once
Mhm.
you join the Sigma Pi Phi, then you have to be within their you have to be within their organizational framework, right? And if you violate, then they kick you out, right? So
Gotcha.
there's accountability. So for example, Bill Cosby was not a member of the Sigma Pi Phi. Wanted to be, but they didn't think that he was so on those levels, right? They didn't protect him, nor did they help him, nor did they support him. They left him up to his own devices because they know who he was,
Right. Okay.
right? So there are.
but this
So
is
now,
the thing.
yeah.
But
Reggie dropped down.
No, I'm here.
no, wait, no, you.
No, but I'm saying, if, even if they didn't,
And now you chopped and screwed.
Man, that's right. You must be in a bad area. I really want to hear what you got to say too.
Yeah, man, I really want to hear what you got to say. DJ Paul and
no, I'm
Juicy J got you.
on. Yeah, I'm saying what happened to Cosby. I mean, I don't want to get down in that road, but you know, he was successful without the boule, right?
Was he?
No, he wasn't.
Well, successful,
Yeah,
but I'm saying
Cosby?
when had he been in line with their policies and ethics, right? Maybe there would have been something that they could have done to back him up when he found his back up against the wall.
If
You know what I mean?
they would have recruited him and he would have been under their jurisdiction, he wouldn't have made those mistakes that he made. But they don't tolerate that.
Right.
I don't agree with that. I do not agree with that.
Yeah,
I
like
do not agree
what?
with that. That's saying that
What part you
that's
don't
saying that
agree with?
human beings that's saying that human beings don't have a choice. People can be in an organization that does not support a particular thing and do the thing anyway. We see it
Nope.
all the time. So
Nope.
because he's what?
Nope. See,
Bro, how many people do you know?
He's saying that they
How many people
seen
you
him
know?
a long time ago, though, before it all came out.
Bro,
they already knew kind of who he was. That's what he's saying.
Nope. See,
okay,
here's the
but even if
problem.
you're
Okay. What I'm trying to
But
say.
go ahead, brother. I mean, get
What I am trying to say is that there are certain organizations that you join, you take an oath, right? Part of that is if you go against them, they will destroy you internally. They will make your wife and your children, they will get your wife and your children, they will push them out of society.
Yeah, he's kind of right.
When you're in some Masonic organizations and organizations that are patterned like that, you violate, that's your whole, you're in exile, you and your family. For example, the Boule, the children of the Boule, Sigma Pi Phi, they don't interview for jobs. They're already selected. They don't have to interview. They don't go to interviews. They're selected by their lower things like Jack and Jill and other areas. They're selected if they whatever they want to apply for, right? If there's one of them in that organization, they will support them. Right? So they can walk in.
okay, so Reggie.
I know this for a fact because I knew children of the Boule, and they didn't have to. They did not have to interview. And I asked them, "How'd you
But
get
Reggie,
here?" Yeah. There's a but Reggie. Go ahead.
what I'm saying is, how many groups do we know? Businesses do we know? Organizations do we know that people bring their kids in? Nepotism. You see what I'm saying? The kids get a leg up. So I'm saying all this exists. It's not just in the Boule that this
I am
exists.
saying you're missing the fact. What you're missing, and that's the fact. I think you have something that you want to say, but I do think what I have to say is much more valuable. When you join. Okay, you're laughing. I'll put myself on mute again. I'll wait for the people.
No, Reggie. No. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
Who's laughing?
I'm not laughing. I was just saying that mentally why I chuckled is that I was saying to myself that Reggie knife is sharp tonight. Reggie taking heads. So it wasn't any disrespect on the laugh. It was just acknowledgement of you going to town. So go ahead, please. Let's hear it out.
You see, this is the problem throwing pearls to swine, stupids, right? A person doesn't know when they're when look, I'm using metaphorically, right? I was trying to read something from their document so I don't have to speak for them, right? That's primary evidence, right? Now, there are Masonic organizations on a high level, and there are these other elite organizations, right? When you're in there, right? If you are cast out, it's really destruction for your whole lineage. You don't get back in. Now, you probably don't think that this type of stuff happens, but it happens in certain law offices, in certain businesses on a very high level, right? You go against the king, you're exiled, right? You're subservient to the king. Now, because Black folks in America, right, we're so used to the way in which we think we live, we don't understand the hierarchical organizations, right, that really control America, white America, and the black organizations that participate in this, who find this structure appealing. So we think that we are free. We're not
No,
free.
but based on what you're saying now, Reggie, based on what you're saying now, is that many persons, especially poor people in America, destiny has already been written. Are you implying that?
Say that one more time.
That many persons, especially poor people, who don't have those ties, destiny has already been written. They can only rise thus far and no further.
No, they can rise. They can rise, and if they rise per chance, they may be recruited in these organizations.
But you know,
Okay.
So this is the thing, Stoopies, right? And this is where I was going to go to crime and stuff to show what, because we're having this conversation in a black group, right? But these conversations happen in white groups too. This conversation that we're having right now is a conspiracy mindset, right? Because you're going to tell me you don't have to interview a job, but I know plenty of companies we've all worked from that you see the boss's kid come in. This guy works for the company for years. His kid comes in, gets right out of college, don't have to interview for no job, gets a job. Nepotism. It's a thing. And so it doesn't have to be
bigger
you.
than nepotism. So you're looking
Yeah,
at it
but
as
I'm
nepotism.
saying, no, brother. What I'm saying is this type of stuff happens. It doesn't matter
why are you
what group you're going to
disagreeing with
tell me
me?
about.
So why are you disagreeing with me? And why are you
So
interrupting
this
me?
is the thing, Reggie. I don't disagree with you in the sense that, you know, people don't have to interview for jobs and they protect you if you're in the boule and stuff like that, right? Now, I disagree maybe on the degree of protection that it offers. You see what I'm saying?
So that's
Because
another
I know
conversation.
someone, let me give you an example. Let me say this before you keep going. Let me say this. Wealth is a protection. You said in itself. Fame is a protection in itself. Bill Cosby, because of his image on television, a lot of people still can't put it in their mind that he could have done some nefarious stuff. Jeffrey Epstein, because he was wealthy and hobnobbing with all kinds of people, didn't end up hemmed up in the justice system till 2005. And then when he got in the justice system, they gave him a sweetheart deal that they didn't end up arresting him till in the 2013 or 15 or whatever that was. You see what I'm saying? Because of his wealth, because of his connections, because of money, because of fame. People don't want to believe you can do certain things, but you're just a human like everybody else. You can do the same wicked shit or the same good stuff. And so that's my point. I just don't believe in the conspiracy theories of it. It's just how human beings operate. That's what I think.
It's okay.
No, yeah, definitely. I agree. Nepotism is definitely a part, especially in my trade. Nepotism plays a big role in it. I think Reggie was more so, and I agree with you, brother. But I think Reggie was more so talking about the level that they're able to do that kind of nepotism on, like the boule kind of can do that on a more corporate, you know what I mean, level.
So Corey, and man, I didn't mean to cut you off. But the question would be for you and Reggie, wouldn't that be the ultimate goal? Like what you accuse the Black Boule of accomplishing, right? Wouldn't that be a good thing, though?
Yeah,
This is the
I'm
good
not.
question right here.
Don't get me don't get me wrong. I'm saying it's good. I'm
because if you had the
just
choice, you do the
asking
same
questions
thing.
throughout the whole thing. Yeah,
It's a good thing because they have accountability among
right.
its members.
I think that was the overall point was
Yep.
the accountability, because we talked about how my question to Reggie was, shouldn't we adopt the strictness and the intolerance of the boule, right? Not allowing those snake oil salesmen and scam artists
Oh, right.
coming in. So that was kind of the question or whatever. But yeah, man, I don't think it was
So
a
in
whole
other
lot of
words, you
disagreement. Mhm.
disagree with the overall outcome. Just let's control more of the
I'm
the
saying
puppets behind the strings,
I'm saying the
the
adopt
puppeteers, rather.
adopt some of the things that the boule is using to be successful. Because, like I said, Reggie talked about the success of the boule, how their
Oh, okay.
boule have outlasted a lot of these programs and ideologies and different groups or whatever, right? He talked about how the boule kind of outlast him. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. I had a phone call, so I might have missed that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I didn't know whether you were referring to that versus uh being sort of the puppeteers behind the string sort of type of thing. Like, yeah, so I that makes a little bit more sense. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't think he was coming from oh, it's a conspiracy and they they hoarding the jobs and only giving them to they people. That wasn't his point. The overall point is the intolerance. So like they're not coming. They're not gonna back you up when you're doing bullshit. So that's why they don't have a lot of the bullshit around. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a different type of nigga though, Corey. I'm all with the black boule. Like, I thought that was the whole goddamn point.
Yeah,
You know,
I like it. I'm down with it. I'm down with it. You know what I mean? I don't consider myself like boule or nothing, but what I mean, I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't have a problem with it at all.
right.
My question,
Right.
Corey, is
Mhm.
this organization an inclusive organization, or are there parameters
No,
set?
it's not. And I
That's
think
the
that
whole
was
point,
Reggie's
right?
point. Yeah, it's not an inclusive organization, right?
So,
But
so that's my issue.
certain criteria that got to be met, and it's a strict criteria. And if you don't meet those criterias, you can't be a part of the organization.
Or you can benefit from the organization. Let's use that word. You can benefit from the organization.
Oh,
Right,
I
So,
think
right,
you
right, right.
benefit.
Mhm.
Well, I
I
think you benefit
guarantee you,
indirectly.
I'm a bet. I'll bet if you look up what these organizations do in the community,
Uh-huh.
you'll see they do good things in the community, in the
Right.
black community. I
Oh,
guarantee it.
definitely,
But it might
definitely,
just
yeah.
be selective. But
Right.
how much of us are in organizations that people just can't join? Plenty of us in organizations you just can't join it, and it's selective in some way,
Right.
Nigga,
right?
nigga,
So
you
why are
might
we
not
acting like this is
you might
something different?
nigga, you might not have made your high school football team. That don't mean them niggas didn't do good or you didn't benefit when them niggas when goddamn what's that day they call when the
Homecoming.
the team homecoming when home yeah, my bad Corey, medical problems, nigga, my brain ain't working. Yeah, but it doesn't
You all
mean
good.
niggas don't the benefit with homecoming coming around, like so that makes total perfect sense what you're saying, bro.
Right. And so this is the thing I'm saying is that, but these type of because I'm gonna give you an example.
Mhm.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, right? People talk all kinds of crap about this lady, especially if they're conservatives. I'm talking black conservatives, but I hear it a lot from black conservatives, right? Now, what did this lady do wrong? Huh? She went to college. Her family was middle class or something. I don't think they were like wealthy. She went to a good school. She got education. Okay, she's married. People complain she's married to a white dude. They say she doesn't know what a woman is, all kinds of crap. But she ain't out there shooting nobody. She ain't out there robbing nobody last
Right.
I checked. She did everything that if my kid went and did what she did, I'll be proud of my kid. So what do we want? You said if my kid joined the
Exactly that.
boule, I'll be proud of my
We
kid.
want Ketanji Browns. We want a bunch of her around. Yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah. Do you want her to hit the streets and then she's cool now? Do you want to be doing the lecture circuit talking a bunch of crap and then she's cool? That what you got to do? Be cool?
Yeah, because
Well,
that's
Or would
all.
you rather
we can
her
do
be
That's
on
some
the
all
Supreme
Jasmine
it's about.
Court
Crockett too now.
making
We can do
rules?
some Jasmine Crockett too now, West Side. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Okay. I
Exactly.
don't think now
And
Jasmine
so this is
Crockett.
what
I
I'm
don't think
saying.
she's as boule as a Ketanji Brown, but I'm saying like so we could do both. We can do both of those. You know what I mean?
I don't even think Chikanji Brown is even in the boule per se. She's an educated woman. If you're educated, you got a certain position, you're going to run around that in a certain class and got a certain position. Now, I don't agree with you excluding yourself totally from people of a lower class, right? I think you should still be engaged with them and still, help, right? Because you just got lucky. Not really special. You just got lucky, really, at the end of the day, to end up where you're at. You know what I mean? And so, but I wouldn't be crying down these people when they're some of the better people in our society. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, you on the
So
bottom.
you're
At least for me. Anybody hear
No, he totally went out. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
y'all faked me out. Y'all juked me a long time ago, man. I've been lost for at least over an hour now. But a good conversation. I definitely love the fact that everybody kept it cordial. Always love that. Shout out to you, brother Reggie.
Well, lost in what sense? Logic.
It's like some kind of way. I didn't notice the off ramp that we took. Right, like I felt like we ran right up against a crucial point of like the future of Pan Africanism.
No,
Mm-hmm.
we
Like
move
ran
past. We move past that. We
in
move
some
past
kind of way. I think that there's so much there for us to be able to hash out. And it was almost like to me, this was the first time I had heard people talk about their end goal for Pan Africanism. Most of the time, I don't even get an answer. But it seemed like at the time, maybe
Right.
nobody was either hearing it or curious about that, or why that was such a thing, and it kind of got lost in the other conversations, and we got off of that, and it kind of had been not exactly like we hadn't really been on point since then. We had just been all over the place.
It was a question that was asked over and over and over and over again today. So I think that's the reason why we might have gotten some answers.
Yeah, we move past that. We're talking about the
Mm.
bully, the Jack and Jill organization. We're talking about their impact on Black America, if it is a necessary component for the development of the people.
To me, that is Pan Africanism. Go ahead.
Jack and Jill is Pan-Africanism?
Yes.
You say
Elaborate.
elitism is Pan Africanism?
Elaborate.
I don't consider that elitism. But
I don't think it's Pan Africanism per se. I think it may be like an over like maybe somebody might be overdoing it, recognizing that like you need to be of a certain something, right? In order to be able to just be successful in society, right? So
Mm-hmm.
how can I take a person who's not successful in society and point to them as our whatever leader? You know what I'm saying? Like so you would have to maybe cultivate these particular leaders of society into a particular mold, right, where they have this particular interest first, but whole time you're adding that to
Yeah.
something that already succeeds in society. Like you're not you're not rediscovering what it takes to be successful in society. No, you're taking what's successful in society and utilizing it for your purpose.
Well,
And
well, I can
that's how I
explain.
look at it.
I can explain why it's not elitist to me. But the thing is, I actually kind of
It's
interrupted you.
definitely elitist.
So
Definitely.
yeah. So
Right.
I'd rather you get back to your point, and then we can go into that afterwards. Because I interrupted you. So yeah. What in other words, what were you originally saying before I interjected that?
Before I said that we never got off the off ramp to what's
Hmm.
called.
Hmm.
So I said we never got off the off ramp to it because like that's where the strategy should like from there. I think that that's where you kind of you need to railroad into like the label is bad at that point. Like you know what I'm saying? We've got three different ideas about Pan Africanism that don't work. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
I'd say more than three, but go ahead.
right, but you know what I'm saying? I'm just using that. Like we got so now we're up to three and counting of things that don't work. And not saying it don't work, but like bricks would be a really far reach for what we're economically capable of right now. And if we focused on the things that benefited us economically, um, maybe a need for something like bricks it might not be as necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like we might get this money and then realize that we actually can we can galvanize in different ways rather than just politically at that point. You know what I'm saying? We might actually have that might open up a lot more options than we realize, but we gotta take one step at a time.
Well, there's quite a few things I could say. You know what? Let me break it down because I think each individual conversation will go different ways, right? Let's start with the first one, right? Um, I'm I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Um, we were talking about elitism. Um, when you say Pan Africanism is elitism, I have no problem with that. Like, wouldn't that be the goddamn goal? Like, what else is what else would the goal be? Let's start
What,
with that first.
what
Can
y'all talking
someone
about?
else?
I apologize. I've been
I,
busy as hell. What
well,
y'all talking about?
I was about to say something all wrong. But
All right,
anyway, go
question.
ahead.
The people don't
No, I'm
understand
sorry. I didn't hear y'all. What you talking about, Swamp? I didn't mean to cut your shit. What you talking
what is elitism?
No. It's a joke. It's a joke. No,
Yeah.
I was saying, and Brass, maybe you could
about? What?
weigh in on this. I don't have a problem with the quote unquote black boule. I don't consider it a pejorative. Um, and I was saying, if that's not the goal, what is? I just wanted to I I can't. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if I can get past that.
What the hell are y'all?
Uh,
Okay, I'm gonna ask again. What are y'all talking about? You know y'all still alive, right? I've been gone this whole time. You know, y'all was
Oh,
live.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if we're live or not. I don't give a fuck about
Okay,
you,
so
bro.
what is the?
But
So we got an issue with the bootleg.
I just well, I think a lot of people do. My thing is this though. Well, let me just ask you this, Brass, right?
What?
Is there something wrong with the bootleg to you?
To me?
And I think I already know the
What
answer,
is the
but
what is
yeah,
to you?
I'm wondering what is it to anyone else? It seems like it college educated black people to be, but
So
what is it to you?
wait, stop. If the boule is college educated black people to you, what could be wrong with it?
Yeah,
I'm confused.
I
What could be
don't.
wrong with it?
Niggas is mentioning fraternities. I'm like, niggas,
No, fraternities is definitely fraternities is definitely a part of the boule. Did I miss a good conversation?
yeah, I think you might have.
So the boule
Or I
was
might
being
be fucking
trashed
it
in
up.
here, or it was being trashed, or what was it?
I don't think they were trashing it. I think this was my point. No one was trashing the black boule on here, right? I don't want to speak for anybody else, right?
Did I miss? It's not that many. I was about to come in and turn the show off,
Because
but well, now you
because
who was talking about the boule?
I'm
Why you act like I asked you who shot Raymond on 3rd Street? Nigga, who was
because
talking about the boule?
I feel like I'm the only one speaking right now. Like, why is no
Yeah,
one
who
else?
you are? That's why I was asking you the question.
Reggie was talking about it earlier. Let me add to the
What was this?
conversation,
Yeah,
Brass.
yeah.
Reggie was talking about it earlier, and I was asking him, is the black bully and fraternity?
Reggie was in here?
Yeah, he was in there.
Mhm.
We're talking.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it beneficial to the black American population? I might have not have used the black American population, or is it promoting elitism? Is the bully and fraternity about elitism?
The
And the
boule and
question,
fraternities are about black people networking within the system.
so
Do,
the
do they,
question that
do
I
they
had
promote
asked,
the question? Wait,
Hold on,
right?
let me
hold on,
finish.
hold on.
Let me finish. The question is: are they promoting elitism?
That's well,
Certain, yeah,
goddamn,
for the most
niggas
part,
be
yeah,
cutting me off.
yeah, for the most
Yes.
part, yeah.
Is
Okay.
elite?
So, Stupid, can I fucking please talk?
Go ahead.
Brass,
Go ahead.
at the point where you came in, the
Uh-huh.
point that we were discussing was, is that bad? And isn't that the entire fucking point? If you're talking about erasing Western democracy as we know it, wouldn't elitism be a part of that? Wouldn't it as a matter of fact be the start of it?
Well, okay, so the way it was supposed to go was similar to how the white fraternities, the white elite fraternities and Masonic orders was supposed to go. So the way it was supposed to work in its inception was connect the black doctors, the judges, the businessmen, the politicians, so that they could support each other's career, right? And their
Mm-hmm.
social mobility. And then if you build like a stable black professional class, then it like similar to the talented 10th. It's very similar. It's very similar to that. It's supposed to serve as like a mediator between the white power structures and the rest of the black community. So it's supposed to be like a protective thing. Now, while it being elite, don't get me wrong, but that was the point. Like, if these these black professional elites are going to be excluded from white society, they'll be protected within the boule, so that then you could pass it on to your children and keep the whole thing going. The reason why people said it was bad is that if you're trying to work within the white system, you're not necessarily trying to liberate from it. So what happens is you're not resisting it, and then when you're doing talented like the boule is kind of it's not everyone. It's not even like 10% of everyone. So yes, that group is feeling some group or whatever, and then they're passing it around amongst each other. But they don't. Most people don't believe you can network your way into helping Black people. It's gotta be something different. So how it's supposed to operate is like creating a Black upper class. So that's how it's supposed to operate. So I never looked at it as an evil thing. I always looked at it as like a very limited thing. Like it's a good thing, right? Because those people are still Black. I mean, whatever you want to call them. I'm very familiar with it. But the problem, and I think the challenge even for Du Bois when he was talking about the talented 10th, even his issues with the talented 10th was without a stable working class amongst Black people, without high levels of employment amongst Black people, then all it really is Black people recycling Black people for an upper class. So remember I was telling you when I was in Jack and Jill, or you're basically, these people get empowered, these corporations, and they just hire other members of the boule, not necessarily other Black people. You understand what I'm saying? So it won't end up, you don't really end up, Du Bois never really saw he needed Booker T. Washington's model and his model, not just his
like a combination of the.
Yeah, you gotta have a labor class. You gotta have a strong labor class in order for a boule to work.
Yeah,
well, I don't want our what's two pieces. I don't want, and I was just about to say, I don't want brass in our conversations to kind of take over. But when you and Stu Pease get through, I have a question I'd like to ask you, and I have a feeling that what Stu Pease is gonna say is actually gonna add on to what I'm gonna ask. So, Stu Pease, please go ahead. Yeah.
Let me go ahead.
Yeah.
Brass. One thing I can never call you is a hypocrite.
Right.
Because you're truthful in everything you said. You could have dodged and you could have hide and you could have found some other excuses. But you do say it is good. I say it is bad. Elitism is bad because I've come from a country where I have seen elitism and how it operates, meaning that it becomes incestuous, for want of a better word.
Yeah,
What I mean,
whoa, okay.
It does. You marry inside of it. You hire inside of it. The Black families tend to live in the same areas. Their kids do Jack and Jill tend to be in relationships and have children with each other. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it does not expand outside, so it does not actually reach down, because the original thing that W.E.B. Du Bois was promoting is that the 10% will first be elevated, and by them reaching higher heights, they'll be able to reach down and pull the rest of Black people up to those heights. But in Jack and Jill organization and incentive organization, in Jamaica we call it uptown. In uptown girls date uptown boys. More 1 and 2, you'll have 1 and 2 will come out of the norm because a bad man them love. Like a Cindy Breakspear would date a Bob Marley, a Tom Tavares Finson daughter would date a notorious gunman. People know about it. 1 and 2 will come out occasionally and date outside, but it rarely happens. So it is not elevated. And then what it becomes now is a beacon to see this is what success look like. If you're not a part of this, like a Jack and Jill person will say to a girl outside, I cannot bring you home because you do not bring anything to my table apart from yourself. You might have some money, but you do not have any connections. Your father was not judge, your grandfather was not lawyer, a dentist, a pharmacist, was a part of this organization. right? So when people talking about, oh, I want a 10% man, I want a 666 man,
Right.
and you realize that most of these girls who say they want a 666 man, I said to them, say, who was your father? Who you know? Which man you want? Because most of those men already wife is selected from a specific group. You do not come with any connection to be a part of his table. And you know that I'm not lying when I say this, Brass. You know it's for a fact. That when you see people talking about that, and even when Kevin Samuels was talking, I know that you were laughing.
Yeah.
Because he himself had no connections either.
None. He's just talking.
He was just talking.
Listen, I was in Jack and Jill, so I know.
Yeah.
I know that. I know that. It just doesn't really work for the overall people. If the overall group needs jobs and employment, then it doesn't work only
It
for the
falls
people
apart.
that's inside of it. Yeah, you're protected. It's an installation kind of thing. But now I want to be clear on something. So Pure Black is in the chat and he says, name a more successful Boule member than Bill Cosby. Sometimes y'all got to get the entertainers out of y'all mind because the point of the Boule wasn't really
For entertainers.
it
It
wasn't
was
really
never for
for
entertainment.
entertainment. Yeah, it
It's
was
for business
more.
people.
Yeah, it was business people, lawyers,
Okay.
doctors, judges, CEOs of corporations, board members. Like if one person got onto a board, they would try to get other Boule members on a board. And then one of the main things was ministers in politics. So the
Yeah.
most successful Boule,
Most
the
people
most
know that.
successful Boule member was Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most successful Boule member was definitely Martin Luther King. And if you wanted to go
So
after that, you would say I would go all politicians before I would get to. I can name 7,
mhm.
8 politicians before you get to Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was just an entertainer, and then based
Right.
on how his legacy ended, um, I think that removes uh, Bill Cosby from the quote unquote Boule conversation. So there's a lot of members of Robert Johnson. Um, that's how you end up with basketball players. There are some athletes that get
They,
into the Boule, but a lot of the athletes, their income is new money. You ever heard the term? This is new money. It's not necessarily old money. So these are people that are really rich really quickly, and they don't really feel like they have a need for any kind of upper class system. But I think any class to reject a black upper class would be kind of foolish to me.
no,
That's just my opinion.
I agree with you. That I
Mhm.
agree with you totally on that. That you cannot reject a black upper class because
No,
it's only natural.
Absolutely not.
It's only natural that
Natural.
a black
Right.
upper class will form as black people increase in their wealth, in their status, in their educational level. They're going to rise to the upper class, and then they're going to start associating with each other. But my
yeah,
problem is it's a problem that I've seen everywhere. But it's the same for the white upper class. It's the same for the white old money. White
right.
old money is incestuous. It's the same thing it do. That's what the black upper class pattern in itself of the white upper class. Go and watch the HBO. Anybody listening, go and watch a new HBO show. The one, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but a new HBO show that will show you the black and white upper classes. And those
Yeah,
families still exist today in the same upper classes because they always intermarry and they always promote each other to positions of power.
yeah. But I mean,
Because,
but that's why I go to politics.
yeah,
Rangel, Vernon Jordan, the CEO of Merck, Frazier. These are people that were a necessity. And then you can kind of go MLK and then go out from him. All Boule. Civil rights movement. All Boule.
all
Ministers.
bully.
Boule. This,
Yeah.
you know,
And my question, my big question, Brass, is it in the overall objective of Pan Africanism, right? Wouldn't there have to? Wouldn't there be some? Wouldn't there have to be some sense of a sort of elitist mentality that would have to take place, or would
No,
be
No,
no,
no? Okay,
no.
okay.
because
You
the
explain that.
Boule and Pan Africanism, in my opinion, are damn near exact opposite.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
the Boule is not inclusive; it's exclusive. Pan Africanism is very inclusive. I keep saying pan all.
That's true.
Where we're getting confused, and I'm gonna stay on this point. I hear everybody kind of, matter of fact, welcome Babylon done to the server. But one of the things that I think we're all getting, everybody has, from what I'm hearing, even in this conversation, I'm gonna go back and listen to it, but I left maybe about 2-3 hours ago. They're just rejecting, they're just talking about a version of Pan-Africanism that fits what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I don't
It's
even have a real challenge for that, or with that, if that's what they want to do. But I mean, Pan is still
all.
all. So if you wanna say it's black nationalism, if you want to say it's black civic duty, if you want to say it's black activism, a lot of what I'm hearing described in here, and all of it is good, but it isn't Pan Africanism. And so I'm like,
Right.
I won't agree to it. I don't care how you dress it up. When I was talking about Psycho and Du Bois got disillusioned with trying to do Pan Africanism on this continent. He did. That's
Right.
why he ended up with Nkrumah to write a book. Yes, but he did eventually end up. To say he didn't believe. Eventually, over time, he realized Talented Tenth didn't work. Similar to like a trickle down economic type of situation, he ended up working for Nkrumah. And when he went
But
over
question.
there,
All right. Couldn't W.E. Du Bois got disenfranchised with the whole elitism that existed in the
yeah, the
bully?
disillusionment, because it didn't make it down. He was in real time. He was watching it not make it down to. If you got a black elite class, so you have a black upper class, that's obviously
Right.
not the majority of all black people. So the
Right.
success of all of that elite class, it wasn't trickling down to everyone else.
He
So
saw
Yeah.
that.
and he saw that. He started to run away from the Talented Tenth. So he went and wrote the book for Nkrumah, and he died in Ghana. So to say that he didn't think going back to Africa made any sense, he went to Nkrumah, like literally Pan Africanism on steroids at the time, and that's
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
he
because
died.
Yeah. I'm
he believed later in his years that all black people should be able to be successful. And when he tried the talented tent, he realized that if he followed the talented tent model, is that the wealth and the development will only be limited to the oligarchs, that the black people were becoming oligarchs. The black people was becoming a nation within a nation within a nation, meaning that black people in white America, the elite or the bully in the black society. And anybody who looks at that and is comfortable with that is going to have a problem. Anybody who's educated is going to have a problem with that. Because I know that you see it when you realize that, oh, but let's go back 3 generations. The intermarrying, the specific group, the invites are not open to other people unless they establish a large amount of wealth, right? Oprah wasn't originally a member of the bully, but when her wealth reached a certain level, she was invited within the organization. She became a part of that organization. She got
Yeah,
invited to.
yeah, and then also remember, Carter G. Woodson. Um, that's the miseducation of the Negro elite.
Mm-hmm.
So even he began to say that the Talented Tenth turned away from the masses of black people and joined the oppressor. When they got up in them rooms with the white upper class and started dealing with them in politics and dealing with them in finance, they just forgot about the masses of people. Uh, a speech that he made later was, I assumed at the Second Armenia Conference in 1948, I assumed that with knowledge, sacrifice would automatically follow. It does not. The
Mhm.
educated few have too often worked for their own advantage and not for the people. So he was disappointed with um, um, his own idea, his own ideology that he picked up from William Morehouse, a minister, by the way. And
Mhm.
what he did was he got disappointed with integration and capitalism. So he went to Nkrumah. He did help him to write, I think it was Encyclopedia Africana, and he renounced his U.S. citizenship and became a Ghanaian citizen. So yeah, he was definitely disillusioned. And then on top of that, Nkrumah, remember, was on socialism. So even his
Right.
Pan Africanism was Pan African socialism, and he got frustrated with his own idea, and that's a very poignant thought to say. I would think that when you get this education, you would sacrifice, but apparently that wasn't the case. It wasn't just making elite. It was being the talented tenth wasn't just about joining an elite class. The talented tenth was also about you're joining this elite class for the purpose of raising the masses. But he was
Beautiful.
so against Booker T. Washington and his strategy. And Booker T. Washington, you could say that he wasn't an elitist, but I mean, shit, he was working with the president of the United States. I mean, he was doing those schools and Tuskegee trade schools, those were all funded by white philanthropists too. So
Yeah.
he was involved with it too. I keep telling you, the perfect mix would be if them two collaborated rather than competed.
Yeah, but the
But
problem is that
they competed.
W.E.B. Du Bois was in an echo chamber also. He fell into an echo chamber among his peers in the elite who believed the lie that they constructed, that they were better than the average Negro, that they surpassed the average Negro. That's what happened to the elites, and that's why elitism is dangerous within any culture or any race. Because once you start developing elitism, they believe that they're better than the average person within their culture. So in white elitism, in the Victorians' time, you had those white people who developed a Mary Antoinette would say, if the people can't get bread, let them eat cake instead. They start thinking different, that they're above, that they're not normal, that they're above average, that they're super special. That's the problem I have with elitism.
Yeah, but he did have some critics. They just weren't in the elite class. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Booker T. Washington, Garvey, Carter G. Woodson, Pauls was on his ass.
Yeah, but he
They
was
wasn't
listening to
playing
them.
no games. And then
But he
later
was,
on in the 60s and 70s,
yeah.
I think Mujasi mentioned him earlier when I was on Walter Rodney and then Stokely Carmichael and them. They were on his ass. So he did it. But here's the thing. Smalls. When
Uh-huh.
you're in that elite class, and we hear this in these conversations a lot of times, you hear a lot of times people say, I can't believe you said that. I can't, to me, Bryce, I can't believe you said that, or I can't believe you don't know that, or I can't believe this. There is a disconnection. To be in that elite class, you do have a
Yeah.
disconnection somewhat from the masses.
The echo chamber.
You don't fully understand what's going on in the quote unquote masses. One of the cheat codes I got was going from a farm to the projects before we got money.
Right.
So I might be disconnected from it, but shit, I grew up in it. I was shaped in it, and then we struck quote unquote
Oil.
gold per se. But while we were in the projects, all my brothers and sisters went to college. They all graduated from college except for one. All got advanced degrees except for 2 or 3, and all participated in Jack and Jill while in the projects. And thank God that our parents, by the time I came along, we were that was whether no matter what, we were involved in that. So it ain't really about being rich. It's about knowing the code. That's why they treat it like it's a secret thing, and it's not really. But everybody can't get into Jack and Jill. It's exclusive.
Right.
It's an exclusive thing. So it's not about being poor, this, that, and the other. But if my father's best friends are now judges and politicians and ministers, then I'll have access to it, even if we're not. We could be the brokest people in the room, but it's really about connections at that point. And the thing is, through those connections, there's no
You will
way.
become
There's
wealthy.
no way. Yeah, there's no way. You know, it's like the classic saying: "Show me if you got 6 broke friends, you're soon to be the 7th."
Yeah.
Well,
But if
well,
if you got
go ahead.
7 successful friends, you're soon to be the 8th.
Right, because if you needed a recommendation, you were in Jack and Jill, and you needed a recommendation to get a job, you'll have 2 recommendations from well-known people in society. So that will enhance your chances of getting that opportunity to school
Yeah.
and to college.
Yeah,
That's
I
how
do
it
my
works.
My question for then the both of you, right? Why then the problem with with elitism? Because I heard today that one of the objectives of Pan Africanism is to erase Western society as it exists. How the fuck do you get there without elitism?
Well, no,
I,
that's a
I'm
foolish. I don't even know whoever said that. That's a
I don't know
foolish.
who said that.
Yeah, that's foolish. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
what I
don't
meant earlier when
I
I
don't
said
remember
no, but
who
that's what I
said it.
meant earlier when I said trying to affect Pan Africanism. I think Mujasi was the one that said think globally, act locally. In these United States, it's going to be very difficult for you to affect any kind of change without working with the existing power structure. And that's why
Correct.
that's why I asked Psycho before I left. He kept using a very specific language. He kept saying how to get things off of white people, how to get things off of others. And that's what I mean by, well, what about with? It
Yeah,
can't be off.
I heard when you asked that
It
question.
can't always
Yeah,
it can't always be off, because if it's
yeah,
always off, you're only gonna get but so far. You
yeah.
gotta be it's gotta be it's
I'm
gotta be
not
with.
One of
I
the things
can't
that,
remember
all
who.
right, can I
Oh,
say
go
this?
ahead, two piece.
One of the
Yeah, go
things
ahead.
that many Pan Africans believe, that many people believe, is that only a few people can be successful. So they're actually playing king of the hill. That only one person can be at the top of the hill at the same time. That the hill is not big enough, or the peak of the hill is not flat enough to accommodate more than one group. So they're saying that if I am successful, white people have to be at the bottom of the hill. And that is not true. And
Right.
that is
Well,
not true.
it's just not realistic.
And it's not
not
realistic
not in
either.
the
But
not in the United
Yeah.
States. We have a set. There's a power structure in the United States. That's why when the Pan Africanists that I talk to, Stu Peas,
yeah.
I mean, they're running from this ideal now. But all the conversations I've had with people that were kind of following Pan Africanism outside of the people we're talking to, it was always, the people that would say things like, "We're gonna buy some land. We're gonna buy a large group of land. We're gonna get some homes, and it's gonna be all black and in and of that." Now, here's the second thing that's happened before, and it's happened successfully, I would assume, before. Um, but then when you go that route and try to do it within this integrated economic system, and especially in a capitalistic society, if you don't plan on getting involved in politics
It
or
won't
or
last. It
something
won't
of
last.
that, it won't last very long.
Yeah, because what people don't understand is that when people talk about Pan Africanism and they're talking about isolationist argument, they said you cannot isolate in a country that is integrated. It will never happen. It can never happen.
Well,
It's
you
common.
can, but you just end up radical as hell. That's why you end up stupies with some of the Pan Africanists saying we're gonna get a gun and just take it. Then you get other Pan Africanists saying, what is it? You're gonna get other Pan Africanists that say, we just gonna go off and be separate. And then you get the people that just go disillusioned and say,
And
I
some niggas
understood.
say kill Whitey.
All right.
Like,
Let
let's
me,
Yeah,
be real.
or no. But see, y'all
mm,
keep going to white people.
mm,
There are certain parts of Pan Africanists that just say fuck Africa. Why am I
mhm.
focused on Africa? I should be focused on just us. And what happens with that is you end up saying fuck everything internationally and just try to build something here. But even if your focus is the United States, it's gonna have to be an integrated plan.
Right.
It doesn't make sense any other
But
way.
but you're trying to integrate also. You're trying to integrate. You're trying to say fuck everything in a country that understand that even it and itself, as powerful as America is, it realized that it cannot survive by closing its borders. No country can, especially in the we do not manufacture everything that you need. So you have
That's
to
true.
include other countries. So, but other people thinking back 50 or 100 years ago, they don't read history and they don't study economics. So
But
just
just the economics of it doesn't make sense unless you go completely racist. Even
native,
Europeans,
and they take a completely native.
Yeah. Well, but Europeans won't even last. That'll be the death. The death of diversity in the United States will be the death of of the United States.
Yes,
because there's not enough. I keep saying it. I know this starts with Frederick Douglass. Everybody keeps saying I'm parroting John Hope Bryant. John Hope Bryant is just the guy with social media on steroids saying we need more educated white people to drive GDP. But that's just now there's just not enough white people. If you're gonna keep everybody else out of trying to be in a class that's gonna help us drive GDP, then I hope to God y'all got a factory somewhere creating educated white people that are
but
going to
not
work
uneducated
GDP.
white
This is not
people.
a race issue. This is a manpower issue. There's just not enough white people to say we don't want any black people, we don't want
That shit
any
even sound
minorities,
crazy.
we don't
No,
want anything. It just doesn't make
listen,
sense. Just off I
Brad.
guess that would be a scientific genetic argument
Yeah,
per se.
Brass. I had a conversation with this person before I got COVID and before I got my heart attack in January, and he was talking about the election and closing the borders, and I was saying to him, "So listen, as much as how you think that immigrants are taking over, the population of the United States is under 400 million. The population is not enough. You might think it's a lot of people, but when you go into Middle America, when you go into certain states, the population is dismal. How much people live in Oklahoma? 400 million people is not enough for what you want to generate everything that you think you need. It's not enough. It's not enough. Even China with 1 billion people now, and they're doing well, they realize that the population growth is not enough to sustain what they want to do. It's people run the world. Economy is like the water cycle. When you went to school, you studied the water cycle. How rainfall one place, evaporate, the trees take it in, they transpire the water, the sunlight, the evaporation for the water cycle to maintain. That is what economy is. It's like a water cycle. In order for it to maintain, a lot of factors have to go into it. And your population is one of the most important factors.
Even if you do the math and the stats, companies that are ethnically diverse do better.
Of course.
Like by a lot, like probably about 20-25%. So you need if a company is even seen as being diverse and inclusive, you're gonna outperform your competitors. So you even like a team, just common sense. If you were trying to build up a company in the United States, having a diverse management team, a diverse power structure, even if the very, very top is European, but I'm talking about the decision makers, the boards, the people who are actually moving forth with the new ideas. If you got a diverse, United States is diverse. We're gonna go majority minority in the next 10 years. The minority class will be the majority compared to the individual European class, the white dominated class. So if you're not diverse at that point, you're gonna have those issues. But like that's what I meant by using Target as an example. When we did the whole boycott Target, we forgot that we were boycotting the black companies that got into Target. You're boycotting the people who bust their ass to get into these corporations, and then now you shut them out And then now, after a time, Target is still going to exist. It's just now Target's going to exist without those black creators, and now we start all over again. It's similar to Claude Anderson in Paranomics when he described the. I have very simple examples. That's why it sounds like I say them all the time. We were so thirsty to ride the front of the bus that we killed our own bus companies. We already had bus companies, but we wanted so viciously to ride the front of a quote unquote systemic white bus that we didn't pay attention. It killed our own. We had our
Yeah.
own. If you pay attention, even before the civil rights movement, you got to look up AJ Gaston. We had our own life insurance. We had our own. We had a lot of all our own things. It may have been not as advanced in this, that, and the other, but I see no problem with the guy that knocks on the door. That's a great book. Black Titan by A.G. Gaston, where he talks about the beginnings of the Black life insurance, the guy in the 40s and that was knocking on the door and collecting quarters from everybody and making sure everybody was buried, and when somebody died, there was money left for them. Those little dimes, quarters, and everything like that, they came and sat. They wrote in a little notebook, and everybody, we was doing all of that. But then as time goes on, we end up integrated into the overall power structure.
No,
So
but
it's going
then
to be very difficult to do Pan-Africanism in the United States. It's just my
no,
opinion.
the thing about inclusiveness and the thing that you just mentioned, that everything that existed before, is that who to know, over time we may have lost it all, because there is no, everything now is a monopoly, and people don't want to agree with that. When I tell people that, if you look at even your eyeglasses that you wear, there's only 2 or 3 companies in the world that make eyeglasses, right? Everything is a monopoly. The civil rights as an approach is that we rushed into it because we wanted to be inclusive, wanted to be a part of the bigger system that we thought was the better system. And it wasn't. It wasn't necessarily the better system because it wasn't designed primarily for us. The guy going door to door selling the insurance, his system was tailored for black people who couldn't afford the insurance one time for the month. So he'd come weekly and collect it. Right? But then we wanted to be a part of a system that wasn't designed for us. And so we fell behind. But what Pan-Africanism won't work in America, because if we think as it as a global thing, what would work is what you're trying to sell. Is that, listen, let's take baby steps. We know that we're not going to achieve everything overnight, but let's take baby steps. Let's start with life insurance. Let's start with financial responsibility. Let's stop
Right.
focusing on ourselves and start focusing on our children. That's how we move forward. That's the American version of Pan-Africanism. Call it anything you want to, if you don't want to call it Pan-Africanism. And say people get on board. But that's it. What's a 10-year plan? What's a 20-year plan?
Yeah, but I mean, it goes all the way down. Integration was definitely a civil rights win, no question. But you almost got to have a parallel focus on our own economics. Now that is something that everybody else did. They may stay into
Right.
these white banks, but you had to have some kind of parallel focus on our own economics also along with it. So what happened was we traded a lot of our ownership for access. So we did a lot. We had black institutions, we had black banks, we had black movie theaters, black retail. But after a while, when the integration happened, and it was great, it was a great civil rights win. But when we went into these quote unquote white banks, white schools, white retail, white theaters, white buses, we didn't have the parallel focus of continuing what we already had. And then when we went in mass to the integrated stuff, because we had access to it now, we just didn't focus enough on what we already had. So when they
No,
keep
but
saying
upon that,
things like we should do things like we should do, I hear it all the time. We should do like the Jews and do like the Asians and do like the all of that kind of stuff. We just didn't have the parallel focus, and that was a misstep. And I think it's something that can be fixed though with just a simple thing of financial literacy. If you get the financial literacy, um, diversity and financial literacy equals equity. and it always has worked. It's always worked like that. And I think that if we focused on that, I think that that would be a much better thing. I don't think a lot of people paid attention with affirmative action and DEI, how almost as soon as they were put into place, they immediately didn't become. We moved down to like from the number one reason for the policy to when they moved it from Black or African American or African descendant of slaves, however you want to do it. When we moved the focus away from us and just focused the civil rights on all marginalized groups, there's so many marginalized groups in the United States that receive the benefits ahead of us. That's why, you know, you can get called a time for saying you don't care about the shit. But when I see that women become the most important winners in DEI and affirmative action and handicapped and LGBTQ, yes, we all win, but without that parallel focus on our self-sufficiency. One of the things, if you ever
Hello?
want to drive me away, Stoopies, from any kind of conversation about anything, once I see that we're not really focused on, we can most certainly participate. That's why you go get the LLC and you participate in the banks and this, that, and the other. But if y'all not focused on self-determination and building up yourself along with the white power structure that's already in power, that's when I'll just say, well, fuck it. And then that's when I got killed for it before, but that's when I go right back into, fuck it, I'll just focus on my own family and just make sure that my family is straight and make sure all of that, make sure that my generations are taken care of, and then hopefully my son will pick up the fight later. But a lot of Black people, they want it, but they really don't. This is a fact. This is. I hear the excuses. We don't have enough money. Yeah, you do. Motherfuckers got pets. Motherfuckers got flat screens. Motherfuckers got brand new cars, Jordans. iPhone, every iteration of the iPhone, you got the finances to do it, but you get caught up in the power structure and mix the fuck up to where you stop focusing on yourself. So that's why I try to focus on, if you ain't being self-sufficient, I don't even want to be around you, to be honest. And that's when I tend to be like, you just talking shit. That's why I'm not a person you're gonna get a lot of excuses for us per se, because we can do a lot of shit. You want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want something that sustains, you go together. I don't think I'm saying anything that radical. It's just when I hear Pan-Africanism, fucking great, amazing. But I'm not no longer that's why I get selfish. And I don't think I'm selfish.
I just want to say the white man for some reason, but I can't find a reason to say so.
What'd you
It's
say?
all good. No worries. I'm cooking.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I wouldn't blame the boule. I would never blame the boule for, a lot of the blame and the victim stuff is just, you just don't take a lot of personal responsibility. And then that's what?
Well, I was going to say, again, my question was, wouldn't there have to be a certain amount of elitism that would have to come? Okay, so I said dismantle the Western world. Let's say that's not your objective as a Pan-African, right? But let's say that, wouldn't there have to be a certain amount of that would have to come with that, or you don't know?
My response to you would be, why do I have to dismantle the Western world to be successful?
No, not to dismantle the Western world.
That's what you said,
part.
though.
No. To dismantle the Western world, which was an objective of those guys. What I was saying was, is there a certain amount of elitism? Like I'm addressing the elitism. I don't think that the way that you guys not you guys. The way that the Pan Africans describe their unity seems like elitism to me sometimes even. And I know I'm gonna get jumped on because I said that. That's fine. But I don't really think there's nothing wrong with a certain amount of elitism. So let's say I don't know who said that whole Western world shit, right? Let's forget all of that bullshit. I'm just saying, is there anything wrong with like? Wouldn't that be at a certain point one of the objectives of uh even if you're overcoming the Western influence on us, right? Wouldn't you have to have a certain amount of elitism to get to that point, right? Or no?
within Pan Africanism.
Yeah, yeah,
Overall,
like,
he's not talking about overall. Elitism, you need to understand what elitism is, because basically you're throwing that word around and not have a full understanding of what it is.
you guys were not me. I mean, like
Yeah,
I have no
that's
problem with
no.
the word.
You're using the word and not understanding what the concept of elitism actually is. Right? Elitism is a dangerous concept because elitism can, at the most extreme, come to a caste system like you see in India, where castes are now developed. That's the end product of elitism. We have a caste system now being established. If you allow elitism to follow through to its full concept, meaning that within a certain caste, those people are okay. And you have a caste below that and until you have the untouchables. Elitism causes separation of people.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Does it naturally occur? Maybe. Does it maybe it naturally occur? I can't argue if systems are left in place as normal, if the cream don't always rise to the top. Because I've always heard that from I'm young, that the cream rise to the top. But what happened to the rest of the liquid after the cream? Is it discarded? Is it seen as garbage? If you're less than the cream, if you don't tick those boxes that qualify you to become a part of the elite, what are you in the greater society? Are you
So
an
what would you be
untouchable
suggesting right
garbage?
now? Because are we kind of getting dangerously close to saying that we just want a whole new organism? Because that's how people
No,
operate. When they get together, they group up, they do that. So like Pan Africanism isn't like a cure for that.
no, it's not.
Just do
It's
it.
not. It's not. But what I'm actually saying is that we must always be aware that although it might be an end result of any process, we must always be aware of it. In any experiment, if the fire is too hot, the pot might boil over, the beaker might break. So we have to always be aware of the temperature that exists wherever we are and to prevent the formation of elitism. It's not a
Well,
good thing.
That was Garvey and Du Bois's issue.
Right.
Garvey was focused on the millions. He was a scammer, but his idea was he was focused on the millions of masses. And Du Bois's idea was the connections, the networking, and the black upper class can fix it. You need both.
Right.
But the issue is at its core, elitism. If you just do elitism by itself, you're not going to be able to. You don't because you end up with that black upper class gatekeeping everything else, and it never
You
makes
have
it to
a caste
everyone.
system.
Right.
You have a caste system being developed.
So then the OAU in I don't know the 60s, and the OAU, they even took the elitism idea to Africa, and that's when they focused on the heads of states. So what happened was you ended up with you basically picture this Smalls Stupid's logic. When you just have elitism, you just end up with a bunch of elites at conferences talking to each other.
Beautiful.
While
Right.
everybody on the outside of the conference is fucking starving and struggling.
Right.
And they're waiting for the elites to fucking create this master plan that never
That will
trickles
never
down
come.
to it. Never
I
trickles down
I
to
want to
them.
say something here. If you
Yeah,
guys get a chance.
go
So
ahead.
we came full circle because I've been listening for a little bit. So first thing, Brass, you
Yeah,
told your story of how you got into Jack and Jill, right?
yes,
Correct me if I'm wrong. You did not come from money.
no,
Okay, but you ended up in this elite organization,
yeah. My
quote
father
unquote.
joined. My father got involved with politics.
Oh, through your
We
okay,
weren't rich. He just got in. You know, he got people elected. He worked with judges on their campaigns. He worked with ministers to build churches. He worked with local mayors, local council people, local aldermen, and
Yeah,
okay.
he got
I'm
involved
early
there,
generation Jack and
and then
Jill.
once he got into the networks and the connections, the money came.
So he ended up with good finances.
Yeah,
And thus you ended up so you didn't grow up poor after a certain point, I guess.
I would say from seventh, sixth, and seventh grade on, our life changed. But my father had been working. I have a lot of brothers and sisters, so that's after a long time of working and connecting. And so around sixth or seventh grade, maybe I'll even stretch it out to my freshman year of high school. I knew by the high school that I went to, something fucking changed because I was getting shit that none of them got. None of my brothers and sisters got, and I was the youngest child.
Okay, but all your brothers and sisters ended up getting an education, you said also.
Yeah, we education was a foundation of our family. So
Okay.
college, poor or otherwise, college was always the end game for all of them.
Right.
It's
Right.
just over time for me though, it wasn't they were public school to college. I was private school, Catholic private school to college.
Uh,
And then my parents' real estate acumen switched up everything. So then now my sisters and brothers who were going to college, in college, their life changed because now you're looking at more advanced degrees um, and different financial literacy to where it just trickled down.
okay. The reason I'm asking, just to
Hmm.
get clarification, is to show that your family made that leap. So
Yeah.
I agree with you guys because even when we were talking about the boule earlier, right? The quote
Hmm.
unquote boule, right? I was saying that if they become exclusionary, right? To where
Hmm.
they are separating themselves from lower classes, poorer people, not
Yeah.
trying to put a hand out. I'm not for that, right?
Right.
But if their organization to benefit their members, also you help poor people. Don't look at yourself because I believe in that personally. I don't believe that. I don't even like saying people are smart. I just feel that a lot of times we get certain opportunities or certain luck or whatever that allowed us to get where we are. But it's
Yeah. The
not that
kid,
a guy that's in the hood couldn't doesn't have the brain power to do it with the right
no, you just don't
environment
have the
and all that stuff.
connections. You don't have the
The
connections to the
connections, all
network.
that,
You get
right.
completely locked out. What happens, I've always said, is access. If you don't have the access, you can have all the capital in the world. You just won't get into the rooms. Um, you won't get into the rooms. You don't get the information. Like it's a cheat sheet. You find out
Right.
about all the companies that are at Series A, so you know where to invest when shit is cheap. When anybody can invest, but the masses don't know. Most
Right.
people found out about Uncle Nearest by the time it got to store shelves. I found
Right.
out about Uncle Nearest when it was in Series A.
Right.
So you're talking about trying to get something at a 30-time price to invest. So then you tell people, oh well, you know, they don't get the access to just something simple like that. They were talking about InvestFest. I watched it on a live stream this entire weekend,
Mm.
and a lot of people were talking about Uncle Nearest because she was speaking, Well, we knew about Uncle Nearest when it was like 55 cents a share.
I don't even know what Uncle Nearest is, honestly, at this point.
Uncle Nearest is a black-owned whiskey. So, and it's a very successful company. Now the share
So
is
it's
like 30.
publicly traded now?
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like 30. It's like 30 times. If we got in at 55, 60, 75 cents, it's 30 times that now. So by the time
Okay,
you
I'll have to
find
look
out
at that. I'm
about
wondering
it,
what the price to earning multiple is and stuff, but I'll have to look at it.
yeah.
Every
When
every
you
$1,000 I invested in the beginning is now worth 30,000. So if
yeah.
you
That's
close
crazy.
your eyes and put in
Yeah,
10,000, you'd have
yeah,
$300,000 now easy.
yeah.
With
Exactly. See, yeah,
minimum.
and so, but the thing is, what you're saying is true. Is that you don't? It's because it's a knowledge thing, right? It's an information thing, right? It's not
Yeah,
that you
The
but
don't have
network.
to.
these are conversations that don't take place in the newspaper. These are conversations that take
Exactly,
place at country clubs and golf events and Jack and Jill
exactly.
events. And for the first time I heard about Uncle Nearest was at a conference that I know everybody can go to.
You
Mhm.
see,
So
but
it's
then you
like
see,
it's not
even your
even
family, you said education was a priority, right? In a
yeah
sense,
from the
right?
Yes,
forever yes.
but what he's saying is that his education would not
Mhm.
have mattered if his father never
Yeah, it
earned any
wouldn't have
money.
mattered. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered.
If your father,
Without the networking and connections,
that his
I would
father
have
didn't,
Yeah,
you
but
would have.
I kind of disagree with that to a degree. I understand what you're saying, right? In that,
right,
and I agree with it to a point, in that if your father is connected, people know you in the community, they know now you have a degree, they connect you in too.
right.
And so it makes it a lot easier, right? But if I'm gonna say, do you go to college or don't go to college, or do you go to trade school, whatever you do, would you take a trade school degree or a college degree or just a high school diploma? I would still recommend getting the
Depends on
trade
your
school or the
connection.
high school diploma. Huh? No,
It doesn't.
Uh,
no,
It
because that's
based
going
on
to
your
put you in the
connection.
door. Yes, the
No, it's not.
connections
I don't
matter.
understand. Hold on, I don't understand your question. What were you saying? I didn't understand the question.
What I'm saying is
Uh,
the connections matter,
yes.
but sometimes
Yes.
the credentials also get you into the door. If you
Yeah.
have a high school
Okay,
diploma,
I get where you're going. I get where you're
you see
going.
what I'm
Okay,
saying?
good. Yeah. But
So
the
it's not that
connections. I'll say this: if we're being honest,
The connection matter
the
more.
the networking and the connections matter way more
More.
than the degree, way more than the credentials, because you get in the door based on your name. You don't get in the door based on your like the board. Any boards of any family members I know that they got in on,
Mhm.
they skipped the people with the credentials. They skip. Even if I got the credentials, it was like it was assumed. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like if I apply and somebody with better credentials than me, that was the whole Boule concept. Well, even with the fraternities, a lot of the fraternities, the Divine Nine, a Q is gonna hire a Q. It ain't gonna
Mhm.
even if the credentials are the same, that Omega Psi Phi is going to overrule all the other shit.
Right.
It's not yeah. So the networks and the
Right.
networking and the connection, that's how you end up, honestly, West Side, with dumbass white people in very high positions. The
Right.
credentials don't mean a damn thing.
Right.
How does George Bush end up president of the United States without George Bush Sr.?
Exactly. And
It
so what I'm
doesn't.
saying, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right.
I agree with you that because I see it happen in my own life. I
Uh-huh.
know people that get certain positions. Sometimes they don't really have connections per se, but they met someone on a golf course or they met
That's a
someone on a
connection
job.
though.
That's a
That's a
connection.
connection, West Side.
Right. But I'm saying when I say a connection, it wasn't like they knew this person prior to a certain point, right? They ran into this person. This person has some connection to them in some way, whether it's the same race, whether it's the same, they
Right.
play the same sport, whatever it is, right? And this person has a certain job has a good position, and they pull this person in with no credential. And this
Right.
person works their way up into the organization over time. They learn the processes, right? And
Or
so
they just get a check. You understand that part too, right?
that happens too. But so I
Yeah.
agree with you that the
Right.
your network is more important
Right.
than is more important a lot of times than the credentials, right? But what I'm saying is I just don't want people to negate or discount the credentials too much at the same time, right?
Oh yeah, no.
Because I feel like the credentials can also get you in the door because they can't hire everybody just out of their own network, right?
The
Because we all
credentials
members
can get
organize.
you in. I'm gonna give you a little bit of clarity to your statements. Credentials can get you in a door. Networks and connections can get you in the door. And
Right,
then
get you up. Right, right.
that's a difference. Like, yeah, you can get on the board of with something with credentials versus another person with or without the credentials can just get into the door. Like for example, with I use Uncle Nearest because that's the hot topic of the time. You wouldn't know when they were and you wouldn't know exactly when they would be taking you can't get in, you wouldn't even know. Even like for example, you can meet somebody on a golf course and they start talking to you this that, and the other, but you'll get into a door, but you won't get into probably the door that can help you 30x times what getting in that particular one is, because that's kind of reserved for other shit. Like Jack and Jill, the Jack and Jill events, we like for example, we had a Jack and Jill college tour, and we had a Jack and Jill uh, um, uh, job fair per se. But the job fair being offered at the Jack and I did that in my, you could do that in a public school. You could do both of them things. You go on a college tour with your school and a job fair at your school. But the one in Jack and Jill is a little different. It's like it's that college tour. We're talking about admissions, grants, um, um, shit that where you're talking about whole tuitions being paid for, and the kid ain't that smart. But the kid's last name is XYZ. The kid's parent has donated XYZ. The kid just having this person go to this school, or for example, or just 15 other last names have graduated from this college. It's the black version. It just happens.
Right, right.
And that's what
It's
I'm saying.
like
Like there is a difference. Like the Jack and Jill job fair, these are sign on the dotted line internships. We're setting schedules, not hey, fill out for this. Or I've been to both, and it's a difference. It is a real, even in the country clubs, even the quote unquote black country clubs. There's certain black country clubs that I can't. As a matter of fact, the majority, because I'm just now learning how to play golf and shit like that. There's certain black country clubs that I couldn't even possibly try to apply to. Like the same thing happens. It's levels to all that shit. It's
Right,
levels.
right. And so, like I said again, go ahead, Sufi.
no, what I'm saying, it is good that when you have an educated class, but the thing about it is that what you need to promote is what degree you will be getting. Because if you get a degree in finance as a black person without connection, you put yourself at a disadvantage. But if that same person who instead of doing finance did medicine, some doors will be open for them because of the degree that they have. And then their children now will have a step up as a result of what degree they took. The generation that excels, the generation that get qualified might not be the generation that it totally benefit. You are just the doors that you can open, or your ceiling without network would be different than your children's ceiling. Because by association, people recognize that, oh, he now can speak to somebody else and say, my son is coming in, he just graduated from Howard or so. So the person will begin to look at you different, and you'll start to form a network with that person, that doorkeeper, like Brass. For instance, Brass is a doorkeeper now. Brass don't know me from Adams, but Brass know that I'm tertiary educated. But I come to Brass and I can't come to Brass with me, but I probably can come to Brass with my son and say, Brass, my son just graduated from university. You know any doors that can be opening for him?
Yeah.
And Brass will sit down and say, because Stupies did this and his son did that. He's now second generation trying to achieve. So he has precedence. So I will kind of try to facilitate him based on his history. That the son is now coming out of college. The son is not the first generation coming out of college. The son is the second or the third generation. So I will try and open a door for him. That is how networking work. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're not the beneficiary, but your children are based upon what you accomplish and what they accomplish. Am I
No,
lying,
and
Brass?
no, and that's why I say, or that's why I said earlier. And I don't want to make this about me, but that's why I was saying to y'all earlier. It's probably a harsh statement. Most people kiss and hug their kids, but they don't really love them. You know what I mean? Like they don't, they act like they do, but there's situations that they could put their children in. But most people, not black people, just most people in general, they believe in something they can see, something that's tangible. They don't think, and even in wealth, the wealth game really is not even a your lifetime kind of game. You're playing more once you kind of understand wealth a little differently. Wealth is more, you gotta have your kids on the same page, because in order for it to work and for it to stay in the family and for it to be something that's generational, your kids have to pick up that mantle and keep going. That's why they say soft times make terrible kids and hard times make great kids, because they're doing it because they're fighting. You're either doing it because the generational wealth is now residual. It's just going to happen. It's like on autopilot. Certain trusts are going to kick in. Certain things is in this person's name. Some of your children are just going to be rich way before they earn it. And then other situations are, you put an asshole in position. You didn't really pass the generational knowledge. You passed down the wealth, but you didn't pass around the your child ain't thinking about his grandkids. He's just thinking about himself. And he's thinking about his own kids. But the game I gotta play is the game for, where are my grandkids' children gonna be? And then that's how you judge where you are with wealth. How many generations you go down the line. That's how the Kennedys can start off with a motherfucker that's running rum and whiskey, a bootlegger, Jack Kennedy or Joseph. This is Jack or Joseph, whoever the guy who started the Kennedys. And you end up with a RFK being a total idiot, but he'll be running the health department for the United States. Probably not qualified. No, I can't even say probably. Not qualified to do it. Not qualified to have the position, but that goddamn Kennedy name that made it all the way from that bootlegger back in the day, that's all he needs to get in the door and have these and have those positions.
Yeah, and that's how it works. And that's what I tell people. I say, listen, the onus cannot be on you. If you pass 33, it's about your children. It's about your children.
Once you have them.
Yeah, once you have them, it's about your children.
As soon as you have them, because that's the best time to start.
It's about your children. And when you look at it, you look at the big picture, and you realize people might say, "Oh, you need to get educated," but educated in what area? Because you being in certain field, there's a ceiling that you cannot penetrate without networking, right?
Yeah, and West Side, that's why I get so perturbed when amongst our own class. I'm gonna say this to everybody in here. That's why I get super perturbed when we start attacking each other with the Uncle Toms and the Sambos and all of that shit, because in and of that self, you don't even understand, like, I mean I don't know, it creates a dangerous climate, because then it gets to, well, okay, cool. Yeah, this is what you say. Brass was definitely born in soft times. Nah, I can't say that, man.
No, no, because
I was
brass,
born slopping chickens
yeah,
and pigs, my nigga.
brass. What people
Straight
don't
up.
what people don't understand is that you're playing a short term goal in a long term society. The Chinese understood this. Other people understood it. The elite understood it as it is, and that's why old money is still around today. Because old money only play with old money.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might include new money, but new money don't have the say.
Mm-mm.
Don't have the say.
Check
But
this out, man.
they're not even able to conversate with them. You
I
got these
kind of
basketball.
Yeah.
like,
Go ahead.
like I said, I agree with the majority of what you guys are saying, but I think I'm separating from you guys on something like a bigger overarching idea. And I don't know if I
What's
can
that?
really explain what I'm saying in the fully,
Okay.
right? Because what I'm saying is, I think, well, one of the things I'm trying to say is, I agree, yes, networking, important, right? Networking maybe even a lot of times more important than credentials, right? Yes, right? But those credentials, like I think you guys agree with me, can help get you in the door, or at least at a minimum, help you earn more money, generally speaking,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
And so, two P's, you said your kids now can build off that potentially because you made more. They might get into certain areas, right? Even Brass's story is
No.
showing that you can go from one place to another place within a generation.
Right.
His own life
Or
story is that, right? Now,
what I
to where
get
he's,
from brass. No, no. Let me
uh,
see. What I get from brass is that although
mm,
some doors are open to brass,
mm,
and you will
mm,
agree with this,
mm.
other doors are still not open to him
Oh
because
yeah,
Mm.
his
and will never
networking
be
only
open.
went to a certain level.
Yeah. Yeah, will never be open. There's
Okay,
some
and
His
doors
that's
that'll
network
never be open for me.
only
Yeah.
accommodate him to certain level. And he knows those doors too. He can
Yeah.
see them. He
Mm-hmm.
sees the doors and know that his net. But guess what? Brass children, because of what Brass accomplished, maybe Brass can now
Yeah,
facilitate
maybe they'll get in.
those doors opening
Yeah.
for his children. But they'll never open for Brass.
And no
right.
matter
Because
But
how
Brass
much
will
again,
money I
not be
make,
tested.
and the
here's
thing
where I'm
is,
coming with the overarch now.
No
no
matter
matter
how
how
much
much
money
money I make,
Brass make.
yeah, I'll never be able to get into certain doors. Never.
Okay,
And
Does this
we're talking
relate
about
to the
black doors.
dangers of the elitism of the boule, or is this totally different?
You
no,
say
Elitism
what?
in general. Elitism in
but
general.
here's what I'm
It doesn't
saying
matter
though.
if it's a bully.
Let him get his point. I want to at
In
least see
this
if we can get some clarity
society,
to his point.
right? In this society, right? Unless we all become enlightened in some greater way, there's always going to be a door that you can't get in. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to wealth, old money versus new money, all this crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you an example. I'm used to white dudes because, of course, they got the most money in this country, right? Warren Buffett has been investing since the 40s,
Mm-hmm.
right? Bill Gates came and passed him in wealth,
Mm-hmm.
surpassed his own parents in wealth. Jeff Bezos has come and passed him and Buffett. Elon
Mm-hmm.
Musk is past all of them, way past where his father was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, which groups are these guys even in? I don't know. You see what I'm
New
saying?
money. New
But
money.
I mean,
old money, who in America are we going to call old money? There's Rockefellers that are sitting in Congress, right? There's Kennedys that are doing whatever they do, right? There's Vanderbilt, the guy, what's that guy that's on news now?
He's
Um,
poor now. He's poor now, and he's
you
gay.
know what I'm talking
But he still
about.
has his.
Yeah,
wait,
Yeah, he
but
still
but,
has his
but that's
name.
okay,
Vanderbilt.
so y'all
That's
keep pointing to this elitism, right? Are you like, so what are you saying that there's like something to be done about it? Like, because
Okay.
I'm
All right.
no.
still
So my
I'm
point
still
is
under the
saying that
impression. Maybe I'm
Let me
missing some of what
rebut him.
y'all saying, right?
Let me rebut him. Let me
my
rebut
point
him.
is
Let me give
saying
him
Hold
this.
on,
this.
I
Because
want to hear
we
what
we know that white
Lord
supremacy was some kind of, just like, I know white supremacy was some kind of target that that we could all kind of agree we should figure out some kind of way to deal with it, work around it, or what have you. So like, are you saying elitism is like another thing that we'll eventually like run across? Because that's why I said, are you looking for a new organism or something? Like, because humans do that, right? Like humans are gonna find some sort of way
to have these divisions, and it looks like it just comes along with complex society. So what are you proposing that's not this form of society that
I know what
basically
I'm
kind of
proposing. These guys can answer what they're proposing. I know what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that when you have your children or society, whoever, or yourself, I think it's very important to recognize a few things. One thing I think is very important to recognize is that the highest, to me at least, the highest ideal is not what you do for yourself. Generally speaking, is what you can do for other people. And not to look at yourself as anything special. You're just like anybody else. You just got lucky. And one of the first persons I ever heard say that about luck is that Warren Buffett. He said his sisters are smarter than him in a lot of ways, but because he was a man, he had more options. He said he was lucky to be born when he was born. He was lucky that he had a dad that he had, and his dad was an investor also, right? He had a granddad
talk
that had
about
a
elitism
store.
right now.
No, it's not about elitism per se, because Warren Buffett, if you notice him at least, I'm just using an example.
Hmm.
Of all the billionaires, people view him not as an elitist. You notice that? They talk shit about every billionaire, but they don't talk shit about that dude much, if at all. Because he has the narrative is he's driven the same car for 10 years, old used car. He lives in the same house for 50 years. He's really seems down to earth, right? Compared to a lot of other dudes, right? But my point of bringing him up is that he said he's lucky. And so I think that it's important that we should realize to ourselves that we're lucky. We're not really special. We just got lucky. We got born at a certain time. We had the parents we had. Maybe our parents weren't
That's what
poor,
they're
whatever it was.
proposing
And so
as.
when you know you're lucky, then hopefully you leave the franchise open or you look back and try to help more people to get
But
to that place. Hopefully.
I'm so sorry that you fall into the image that Warren Buffett portray nationally. Yes, he does still live in the same house, but
Mhm,
you don't. But guess what? He doesn't talk about his other houses worldwide. His
mhm,
mansion, French Riviera. He doesn't talk
mhm,
about that, or he doesn't talk
mhm,
about his planes or his cars. He lives in the same house, but he has access to his own private jets. Jets, I said. And you can
mhm,
research it if you don't believe me. That the
mhm.
facade that he puts on, that he still lives in the same house. He does. But he does not tell you about the
No,
other
I,
things
I,
he owns.
I asked all about
No, let me
an
finish
like
speaking,
an
please.
economy or
No, no, no,
somewhere
no,
where
no, let
this.
me finish speaking.
I'm gonna
Let
get
me
to
finish.
that when I
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
my
yeah.
No,
Let me
my
well,
finish.
I
brother
was
BP.
answering 1 second. I was answering your question about what can be done in terms of this elitism. And I'm saying that if you recognize that you're lucky, you're not really special, right? Then you can hopefully get rid of some of that elitism idea in your head and be more down to earth.
But Warren
Now, with the
Buffett
one,
wasn't elite though.
That would be
no,
That's
what,
that's
relying
the
on the
whole
people
point.
no, what I'm
Warren Buffett
saying
to
is,
wasn't
give
just
up
lucky. He
their
was an
money.
elite. He was an elite.
huh?
Warren
He
Buffett
was.
was an elite.
No, I'm not saying he's not an elite, right? If
Right.
you turn a certain amount of money,
No, I'm talking about he comes from elites also. He doesn't it's not
Yeah,
a he doesn't come from he's not a ground up story. His father was a US congressman
his father was a congressman, right? Exactly. And
and
so what I'm saying
and a
is,
stockbroker.
and a stockbroker. And
right.
I mentioned that in my little spiel about him, right?
Right.
And so I'm not saying he's not an elite, but I also said that his image that he portrays, right? And of course, that's not a true, like the other brother said, it's not 100% true, the image he portrays, but compared to some of the other guys in his position, right? He doesn't roll like they do.
Do
You
you
see what
know
I'm
who
But
saying?
he
taught
does.
Warren? But no, listen. Hold on.
Ben
You'll hear
Graham.
me say a lot of times West Side.
Mhm.
Most of these guys, the only difference is their public relations marketing campaigns.
Right.
That whole thing of how people see Warren Buffett, that's on purpose. That's not like because he lives that way. You also got to remember he went to Columbia. Warren
Yep.
Buffett learned stocks from the father of value investments.
Yeah.
Like he died. This isn't like. And then on top, the Benjamin Graham, he was the father of value investment at Columbia. another thing that Warren Buffett will also tell you is not that it's so much about the luck that he has, it's the bad luck that he avoids. And when he tells you that it's the bad luck that he avoids, I want you to be, when they call him the Omaha Oracle and all of that stuff, he benefited from information that other people just couldn't get. I'm
Yes, I
just
don't
being
believe
real.
it.
I'm being real. I'm talking about billions of dollars of money that he would. These are not. Benjamin Graham is like Michael Jordan of investing. So if like he says about his sister,
But
I
by the
get it.
way, you know that he stepped away from Benjamin Graham's ideas, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, he had to because
And
because value investing wasn't going to go to the billions. So he switched his. He didn't go away from what he learned. He just switched the styles. But I want you to understand something. From early on, like from early on in his career, I read the same book you read. He's talking about his sister and all of that. He was in rooms that motherfuckers his age, no matter what, he was in rooms with people in firms and banks. He was in positions that he didn't. I mean, he
He
just
had
shouldn't
no
have
right
been in
to
them
be in.
fucking rooms. He shouldn't have been there.
It wasn't luck.
And that's access and networking. Like I'm not trying to dissolve or dissolute. And I want to get to Logic's point. I'm not trying to dissolve or make you believe he's an asshole. I mean, maybe he's a good person. I'm just saying everything about him is elitism coming from elitism, going on to more elitism. And then remember, this is a person that functions as a damn near economy unto himself. He has great marketing. All that cheeseburger, drives the same car. All that shit is bullshit.
Bullshit.
Because the trades that he fucking got early on in the game, like in his 20s and 30s, he shouldn't even have been the person handling no shit like that. He shouldn't even have been in those rooms, but he was. And it's not that he's lucky, he just avoids bad luck, but it's the same way Pelosi avoids bad luck. They know. It's not like he just miraculously his story to believe it. There are people that talk about making movies about Warren Buffett and they say it's less believable than Star Wars. You have to believe that like he literally did all of this and this, that, and the other. No. You get certain tips and information, especially in investing. In investing, if a motherfucker never loses, it ain't because he's lucky. It's because he got some information that everybody else don't have.
Yeah,
And
but
that's
brother,
access,
and this
network,
is
and
this is
connection.
where I feel like your argument now is merging with the argument we were talking about earlier with the Boule thing. It's kind of come into this conspiracy realm, right? Because I don't even have to use Warren Buffett. You see what I'm saying? You got the guy James Simon. You see what I'm saying? Mathematician. Started as what, Renaissance Capital or whatever that is, and used algorithms to trade and was beating the market for years. But they don't hold the stock for a long time, and their positions can't manage a massive amount of money. But the dude ends up being a billionaire. Before he even gets there, he wins a math prize, some prestigious math award for some new breakthrough in math. I think he taught at Dartmouth or something. You don't even have to use him. Bill Gates, his dad was a lawyer. So, of course, I'm not saying these people were dirt poor. Generally speaking, you're not going to find someone dirt poor rise into that level like that. But these people are like middle class people, upper middle class people. They had access to certain things. If you read the book Outliers, it talks about some of this luck. It's not even just Warren Buffett talking about luck. All them guys that started out in Silicon Valley, they were all born within about 5 years of each other. Your Bill Gates, your Steve Jobs, the guy that starts Sun Microsystems, all these guys, they're born right about the same period of time. Right when the computer is coming up. So in their formative years, the computer is just taking off. Bill Gates, he goes to a private school because his dad is a top lawyer in Seattle. The school has a computer that not even colleges have. Most colleges don't have it. Few of them have it. The guy at Sun Microsystems, his college has it, and he gets to work on it and builds out Sun Microsystems.
So
right?
when do you think they knew that the tech industry was going to explode versus the average person knew that the tech industry was going to explode.
Okay,
20 years
they know
before.
it. They know it because they have access to the things that are going to the cutting edge
Right.
material. And so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's luck in a sense. He's
It's
born
not
in this.
luck.
I
It's
think
not
it's
luck.
luck. I
No, no,
think
No,
listen,
you
I'm
see,
gonna hear what he's saying.
oh, 1 second, brother. It's not. I'm not saying it's 100% luck. That's not
Hmm.
what I'm saying. I'm saying there is some luck in there too, because he was
Well,
born at a
I
certain period of time.
won't deny that. You were born in a certain place. You
He's
were
born
born
in a
as a
certain period
man. You
in a
were
certain
born
place,
European. Yeah, I get
yeah.
that part. I'm just
all this
saying
stuff
the
in a certain
success part.
country.
Yeah. I get that part. But then hold
You get
on.
what I'm saying?
But
And
then
then now,
on
with
top of
that,
that,
now Bill
what are
Gates, for
the
instance, he has.
connections? But what are the connections that keep Warren Buffett out of jail? What are the connections that when Microsoft was about to go through a fucking monopoly trial and damn near lose the whole company, that like there's certain things that keep that train going versus what's the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio where the guy went to
Wolf of Wall Street.
where the guy the Wolf of Wall
Street.
Street, right?
Right.
Then that guy, even in his story, I like his book is amazing because he kind of confirms to me that like everybody's fucking cheating.
Of course.
Everybody's lying. Everybody's getting inside information.
I don't agree with that.
They just catch the guys that they want to catch.
I don't
If
agree
you're
with
in
that.
if you're in investing, it's very hard pause to just be like a fucking
Savant.
just a shooting star. And even when we talk about Bill Gates, we can't negate the fact that he created Microsoft, but we also can't negate the fact that there's rooms that even he can't get into. Like Elon Musk, for example. Elon Musk's a fucking genius of this, that, and the other, richest man in the world, blah, blah, blah. But even he thought he could buy his way into the presidency. And as soon as he got into certain rooms and he got into office, Trump started talking to that old money, and Elon Musk didn't even matter no more.
I don't think that's what happened.
No, I don't think. I'm not. I'm just
That's not
making.
what
I'm
happened.
just making a. I'm just
What
making a
happened?
speculation.
I
I'm
get
just
what you're
making a
saying. I get
speculation.
what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I'm just trying to give a correlation. That's all. But let's hold on, Westside. I get your point, but Logic been chomping at the bit to get his point out, and I just want you to understand. I understand your point, and I agree that there is some luck. I just know in my personal life, I guess I would be kind of biased, Westside. I know that my connections and networks have made it happen a lot faster,
Supersede luck,
a lot easier. For example, like certain boards and shit that my father's on, he don't even go. He don't even know what the fuck they do. He's just there. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, and these are, and the benefit to being on these boards is you're just hanging around more people, getting more information, getting more. It's almost like they talk about in music now. You could tell it's hard to tell the difference. Now, back in the day, you could tell, but now you can't even tell the difference from the motherfuckers who made it versus the industry plants. Like, it's like the shit, it all seems the same now, right? So, it is a difference, but I'd like to flesh that conversation out more. But I won't deny that there is some luck. I just think the networking and connections, they keep the party going. You know what I mean? They keep look at how long Epstein was able to run that island, bro.
Well, I mentioned that earlier too, right? And I did say it was because
I wasn't in here.
I said Epstein. I said there is some money involved. There's some fame involved in keeping people out of trouble. It's just because like Bill Cosby, there are people out there who will never believe he did what they accused him of. The reason is his image on television is it's a wholesome image. And he's famous. People just can't see famous people doing certain things. Because it's just like when you vote for somebody as a politician. Sometimes people don't want to believe this person could do some of the things they did after they voted for him because they've invested in this person. Preacher, same thing. Money does the same thing for you. People assume you're smart at everything because you got money or because you came up with a great invention. But then we know that's not true because you look at Henry Ford, and the Nazis was kind of a supporter of the Nazis. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But people assume Charles Lindbergh flies across the ocean, but he's a part of the America First movement that supports the Nazis in America during that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So doing great
Yeah.
things, but because you're smart, because you're rich, doesn't mean that you know everything or you're good at everything. Because
Yeah,
you
that's
got
true.
money or because you're
All
famous,
facts.
you're just a
All
human
facts.
being, just like everybody else.
All facts. Logic, get your point off, bro. I know you still. I don't know if your question was answered, but I know you were still trying to get your point off. If you're still there, trying to get your point off.
I mean, yeah, I've been listening. No, I haven't really heard an answer. I think it's
What is the specific question? Let me see if I can try to answer.
so
What is your specific question?
the specific question is, right. I could have sworn that this was about maybe getting this to a thing that's somewhat more manageable than racism, right? Because we know that we deal with big obstacles as far as racism. And I guess if we were to chip away at it and then having to deal with something like elitism, right? Are we and still, obviously we're still going to have some issues in society, so without being too wordy, it seems as though dealing with people, you always have some issues as far as where the politics is slanted towards this ethnic group, that this demographic of earners or what have you, like what are we actually upset about at that point, right? I understand, like I'm hearing a lot of people kind of like they're unhappy with elitism, but so what are we happy with? I'm kind of confused about, where did this go to complaining about elitism? Like, how did we get from white supremacy to now complaining about elitism?
You talking about black elitism, Boulay?
Yeah. How do we? I mean, not to say how do we get there, right? But are we talking about it in the context of this is like another obstacle that we have to indefinitely deal with of some kind?
You want me to go first?
I don't
It would
know.
have, it's really not
Chef or
directed
somebody. I
towards
don't.
you,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
go
Brandon.
how to
first.
answer the question. Or
It's
maybe I'm
really
not
not
hearing. I
because
don't
Let
hear a
me ask
question. I hear a statement.
right. So
that's
the
a
question,
statement, but
the original question was, right, what are you proposing as an alternative to elitism, right? And I asked that because I don't see societies that are not separated in some form or another. That's why I kept giving the examples of it slanted towards this way or that way. But go ahead, somebody answer it.
elitism is a byproduct of commerce. It always has been. Wherever there's commerce, there's always an elite class, and that class will always probably will get richer in most cases. But it will start with the Dutch that came to New York, the rich Dutch that came to New York and start businesses there. Elitism has always existed. The situation is that we have to put systems in place to prevent it from exploding because it has no conscience. The rich will always want to become richer. Rich people have no conscience. So therefore, you have to put systems in place. In the past, presidents has put things in place, laws to prevent monopoly, taxation. Those are the factors that try to control
Right.
the greed of the
So right,
elitism.
right there, right. You said we got to put systems in place, and then you kind of started out with people just do it. You know what I'm saying? And basically, you really started out with commercialism, right? So you saying that we got to find a way to get rid of
No, you can't get rid
mercantile
of it. It's
policing.
controlling. You can't get rid of it. You'll never be able to get rid of it because it's built into the system. It's a byproduct of the system. It's like carbon dioxide coming out of an automobile. It's a
Right.
result
Okay.
of.
So I don't disagree with you. So are we trying to get on board and figure out how we can use it to our advantage, or are we trying to dismantle it? What are we trying to do?
Try to minimize its effect. That's all it has to do. You have to minimize its effect, or else it's going to become a vacuum, or a black hole, which sucks all the wealth out of a nation.
Oh, okay. I
So
haven't
you
heard
have to
y'all talking about
minimize its
minimizing the
effect.
effects yet.
Chef, do you
How would you
need the
do that?
channel? Do you need the channel, Chef? So you
Yeah. You have to
Chef, can you
minimize
move your
risk
channel so you can go
Hold
to
elitism.
on, let him talk to
Jesus.
Chef right quick.
No, I just need to know if he, because we're still live. Just damn near 10 hours.
Yeah. Listen off.
I'm gonna end it so he can go live.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because elitism is dangerous. Because elitism will form a